Step right up, step right up. Welcome to the Juicing Room podcast. Come meet the freaks and their weird kinks.
Oh my god. Oh god. How do we start this? How do we introduce this? We've already introduced it so many unique times. Have we come up with a standard one?
I don't know. We just kind of wing it every time. It's a new
true.
year. I'm feeling full of energy, even though I'm literally in the exact same place I was at the beginning of 2021. Not for lack of trying.
Oh god, the existential dread. Oh god. I'd like to point out that through like a good percentage of my classes when the pandemic started, I was half awake and I managed to pass. So, oh god, because I just laid in bed all day. So, how have you been? How was your New Year's, Sassy? How was your New Year's and your holidays?
It was pretty low key. Just kind of hung out with some friends on Discord. I did actually go out. I went to there's this really nice sorry, there's this really nice garden in near where I live where they had like a whole like Christmas light show and everything. And it was very pretty to look at. We walked around and admired the beauty.
Sound lovely. We my family for Christmas my family went to Austin. That was our Christmas present. We spent from the 29th to the the 28th through the 1st there. And we celebrated New Year's there. It was really fun. Found out Betty White died in an Airbnb, which is like,
that's unfortunate.
It is, but she took down 2021. She sacrificed herself so we could escape.
She said to 2021, "I'm going down, but I'm taking you with me."
And she did. That she did. The year ended, and then it began. So where to start? Austin was fun. I woke up yesterday, and apparently part of my muscles exploded, so there's just pain on my left side.
Look, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, like you can't like inflate yourself and then just like without a spotter, Like it's
fair.
A two-person thing.
That is fair.
You need somebody to spot, and you need somebody to juice you.
Oh God, it's cold here. I want another batch of snow because our batch came in and then immediately melted. I want more.
Our batch came in last night and it's still here.
You lucky fuck. Send it this way. Give me that snow.
I didn't have any fucking snow this whole year, so it's like it's mine. It's mine.
We got back in January, and that was the first time it had snowed the entirety of winter. It's unsettling, when you have like a Christmas that you're used to seeing like covered in snow, and then it's like all green. Like it's just like, ew.
I mean, like we don't usually like, because I live in a pretty like kind of, I don't want to say temperate. I don't know if temperate's the right word, but like it's a place that kind of regulates itself. It's never usually a guarantee, like even under the best of circumstances, that we get snow before Christmas. But when we do, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah, here in the Midwest, we usually get it, so it's getting weirder every year. I can't remember if we had rain the last couple of years. I know Texas got blasted by what's usually reserved for us because I think the La Nina or whatever that came in. We basically in the last couple weeks since the episode came out, my younger brother got his driver's license. So congratulations, Agro Junior.
Woo!
And he did his first airplane flight. So that was fun.
Seriously?
Yeah, he's never been on an airplane. He's 16. He's never been on an airplane.
I thought you meant he actually flew an airplane. He was trying to get like his pilot's license or something.
Airplane, I think I'd be terrified. If he got his flying license before his driver's license, I would be very concerned about who was doing the testing, because he can fly a plane.
I mean, flying a plane is a different beast than driving a car,
Yeah, he was very worried about that. But other than that, I got some good presents and just hanging out, having fun. What about you? Did you get any good presents for Creambo?
For Cringemas?
For crime bows. Yes.
I got a pasta maker.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used it yet, but I look forward to using it.
I used to use a pasta maker to make clay noodles that I would then weave together. I love a pasta maker. Those are fun.
I also got my aunt signed me up for this class that's happening in February, this radio class.
Ooh.
And maybe if all goes well, I'll have some new skills to apply to this project here.
Hell yeah. Also, announcement, if you haven't seen already, we have finally got a brand mascot, which has now taken over our Twitter, our YouTube. I hadn't put it up yet because I didn't mention it in the episode and I wanted to mention it. You can thank Double Blue for that. They were very lovely.
Do we have a name for her?
Oh, fuck, I didn't think of one.
I think I said Arla. I wanted Arla to be her name. Yeah.
Or Orla, yeah, something like that. I like that. Her name is Arla. Have fun. I have no idea what her body looks like. We only have a head, so if you want to create a costume for her, be my guest.
Or just make fan art, you know?
True. Do whatever. Just don't do anything that is illegal. Obviously.
Usually goes without saying, but sometimes we just need to clarify that.
Yeah. So now that we've gotten the banter out of the way, shall we start with our clip review?
Yes. So this is the first non-TMC clip we decided to do. Missa X, Violet No Regard.
Yeah, she had 2 blueberry clips. I picked one out of random. And we had 3 clips in the poll this time. I wanted to do some sort of variety. And they tied. Missa and the Miley Moore clip tied. So I guess we might do that for the next episode. I don't know. I'll figure something out to do tiebreaker, but I just decided Missa X just to shake it up for y'all. Just have fun with it. It's a fun clip. Do you have any initial comments, Sassy?
I mentioned last time when we were talking about like how we were talking about that sort of like thin line between like comedic and grating for the last one. If you don't have a very high tolerance for like shrillness, this is probably not the clip for you because it's very, very shrill.
It is. Like I follow Violet Monroe. She has gone a completely different aesthetic than when she started. She went from blue to red. Now her page, like I think she has red hair and stuff, and so she's a bit shrill. And I don't often make that comment about anything, but she does get very high pitched at certain points. It's very interesting. The effects work on this are incredible.
I love the color change in this one. I really, really love the transition between like her regular skin tone to the blue. Like that was very well done.
Missa has always like done really good like effects like that. There are a couple clips where she like distorts her, body and stuff, and it's very interesting. I would kind of like to see her new clip, see how she handles this effects and stuff, but I just they're expensive. They're very expensive videos. Mm. They're like I think $20.
Still less than the Juliet Michelle set.
It is, isn't it? Oh my god. Both are worthy of the price, but like I remember seeing this clip initially when it came out, or I don't know. It's been a while. When I first saw it, it's been a while since I like first saw it. I've watched it a couple times since, but the shrillness does get you. The costume is pretty good. It's a much more sexual clip than the Taylor clips.
Oh yeah, like this has a lot more, like the Taylor clips are like very roleplay heavy. It's really more about the situation and less about the sexual content. This one's very explicit.
Like Taylor has made both soft and hardcore, but the stuff that this has comparatively, like some of Taylor's vids you could definitely watch and it wouldn't be too much of an issue. This one you should watch privately.
Yeah, not safe for work.
It is not. It is. There is just a. I don't know if this is spoilers. I don't know how spoilers in porn work. But there is a scene where there is, insertion in some capacity. This is such a hard thing to euphemize because we're on YouTube.
She goes to town on a blueberry dildo.
It is. That is the whole premise of the video. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, she plays it like. It's called Violet No Regard, but the character itself is more Veruca-esque.
Oh yeah, she literally says like I want it now over and over again.
I think I think it's a minute sequence, but it feels a lot longer. It's very funny.
I don't care about shipping issues. I want it now.
I think she put I think the joke also is that she's like a daddy's girl, so she like puts it on her daddy's credit card. So it is like Veruca meets Violet. It's very funny. And Violet Monroe, I think this is one of her first forays into more fetish work. I don't know how long she's been in
Wait,
adult film.
Violet Monroe or Missa X?
Violet Monroe. Miss X has been around for fuck ever.
Well, no, but this was a Missa X clip though, wasn't it?
It is, but the star is Violet Monroe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Missa X looks completely different. She's a redhead. I made that mistake. I was completely blindsided when I looked up Missa X and did not see the character from the video. Missa runs her own studio. She's got a lot of point of view clips too. Did buy her stuff too. It's great. It's expensive. It's great. Yeah, Violet. This is one of her early steps into it. She's a lot skinnier, a lot different than she is now. I don't know why she. I don't know what she was going through back then, but it's very fun. I don't know if it's writing or if it's improv, but Missa always has some sort of fun in the video. It's a good video. It's hard to really talk about because it's such an interesting clip, but it's also sort of like it's sad because if we're gonna review this clip, we also have to give further context. There's a reason why we haven't seen any more from Missa, and it is exclusively because people pirated the videos. If I am not mistaken, that is what I have heard. But the reason why we have not seen any more is because Missa sold the suit because people pirated the videos.
Well, that's a shame.
It is a shame because I don't know, she made some great videos, but I don't know if she's done a lot of expansion stuff. I think the last thing she did was a breast expansion with some big expansion props for breasts, but I can't remember. I gotta find it. But no, it's a good clip. It's just we won't see any more unless people actually start buying the clips and give her incentive to make more, and she can get the suit again, because again it was pirated. There is an extended sequence where she says I want it now, and then there's the sequence where it arrives, and then the build up to the actual expansion, and then the expansion happens, and it's very interesting.
Well, but what I said earlier was that a lot of Taylor's clips really sort of played up the situation and the absurdity. Well, this is just straight up this is just a straight up porn.
This is a normal thing that happens in porn.
Yeah, it's like a normal porn video up until she literally turns into a blueberry.
Yeah, which is that is Missa's style. A lot of her stuff is pornographic in nature, even her fetish stuff. So if that's up your alley, go right ahead. They have blue cum in this. I think they have it in one of them. I think they have it in both of them. It's very interesting.
Oh God.
It's very interesting. I don't know how to react to it when she pulls it because it's just very funny. But ultimately, and the camera is real sharp. It's a real sharp camera. So it's high definition blueberry porn. But all in all, it's an okay clip. It's not to my taste preference, but to each their own.
Yeah.
It's a good clip nonetheless.
It's not my favorite clip I've watched, but I also acknowledge that sometimes these things aren't really marketed towards my particular tastes. And
yeah, they're trying to reach a broader demographic.
Yeah.
I now comes the fake rating that means absolutely nothing. I rate it 5 no's out of 6.
5 no's?
Or nows. God damn it, I fucked up my own joke.
I rate it 3 I rate it 3 blueberry dildos out of 5.
I'm gonna have to put 3 pixel pictures. Because that's shit.
Don't demonetize us.
Oh God, that's very funny. But yeah, it's good. It's if you like porn and you like blueberries and you want to see blueberry porn, this is your thing. If you're more softcore, there are many Taylor videos for you. There's also hardcore Taylor videos. It depends on who you are.
So, do you want to talk about the latest grift that's killing the planet?
The one thing that I'm glad to know is that I know for certain that if there is an expansion or size or sit adjacent NFT, I haven't heard about it because I don't think a single person has tried. And I know there are some people who would absolutely try.
Well, because the people in our community are good and not evil.
I don't know. There's some people, there's Brapple, and Ka and I don't know where I'm going with this joke. I have no idea what the fuck I'm saying.
Okay, so like regardless of what issues like the size community or the expansion community has, at least I have not seen too many instances of them trying to make NFTs.
That's such a long introduction too. I'd like to point out neither of us said it was NFTs till right then and there, but I guarantee you everyone knew what we were talking about.
But yeah, we're talking about NFTs.
We're talking about Pokemon cards, but worse, and you don't own them.
We're really showing up late to the topic discussion on this, but the fact that it still remains relevant means that we can still talk about it. Kind of depressed by that.
It's gonna remain relevant for the next decade, Sassy. I can't stress that enough.
Oh fuck! I don't like the future.
Future.
Are the other letters of the alphabet involved here?
Sure, all 486 of them.
Future.
This is bad. We're in a bad timeline.
This is the bad place. So, if you haven't put two and two together, if you need me to spell it out, which I will spell it out, I am that nice kind of person. NFTs have supposedly taken the world by storm.
Do you want to quickly just sort of explain what this shit is for people
I'll
who
try.
miraculously managed to like not hear about this?
I'll try, but you listen to what I explain and tell me if I miss anything. Okay, so there's this thing called the blockchain. It's bullshit. All of it's bullshit. It means nothing. It's a cool technology. We have yet to use it to its full capacity. And okay. NFTs occupy little spaces. Imagine, if you will, the blockchain is a literal chain of things. NFTs occupy spaces on those little sections. If you own an NFT, you do not own the thing. You own the space it occupies. So if that image is removed, you can't get it back. You don't own the image. You own the little space on the blockchain. You own the little block on the chain.
You basically own what amounts to a digital certificate of authenticity.
Like, even then, you don't even own the authenticity. You don't even own the ownership of the image. It's like you own air. It's like you bought a square meter of air outside. You don't even own land. It's air.
Well, okay, and like even being as charitable as humanly possible, it's like at least you have like an art piece that's essentially a banana duct taped to a wall, and you pay like thousands of dollars for it because you have a certificate of authenticity that it is the original version of that particular banana duct taped to the wall. At the very least, you're getting a physical object out of that. At the very least, you're getting a banana.
You can also make a tasty smoothie if you want.
You can make a tasty smoothie out of it. It's not worth thousands of dollars, but it's something.
It's an object that you can look at, see, pick up, hold.
Yes.
Like,
you're basically buying dibs for ownership of a JPEG.
You don't even own the JPEG!
You don't even own the JPEG!
This is going to be a wild episode, I can already tell. So I have hated NFTs since the moment I figured out what they were. And Facebook is now trying to, as we speak, build an NFT-based platform called the Metaverse, which, as far as I can tell, from what I've seen Nike, Facebook, and Walmart all do with it, it is just Second Life.
It's just Second Life.
It's just
it's
Second Life.
It's shitty VR chat.
Cause here's the thing too. It's not even Second Life. It's worse Second Life. Cause you could buy shit in Second Life and have it. In the Metaverse, you can't buy shit and have it.
There was like a whole sex worker like community in Second Life.
I was well versed in it far earlier than I should have humanly been. There was an inflation community. There was a weight gain community. There was a pregnancy community. Second Life, like what Facebook has not estimated is that it will become the fastest growing method of sexual exploration. If you go to Second Life now, if it's still active, I don't know, and I have not cared to check. But if you go back to Second Life now, what you will find, whether you like it or not, is that it is almost 90% sex. When Second Life first came out, it was advertised as an alternative that was far more intimate and far more fun than Skype. Because Skype was coming out around the same time, and Skype was kind of this new thing that everyone wanted. Like there were companies who were like, we could sell objects that you could actually redeem for real things. You could convert the money into real money. Like it is all exactly the same as this metaverse bullshit. And it is now just the red light district, infinite. That's it. Or gotcha machines. It's
you're creating things that have already existed and are worse.
Oh, absolutely. I made a TikTok about this, and we'll talk about TikTok later. But basically, I think we've seen every form of social media possible be made. I do not think anything else will be made. It will all just be amalgamations of different types of social media. That's it.
It's randomly generated pieces of different social media platforms into like one ugly. I'm trying to make an NFT fucking allegory here.
You're doing great because I'll tell you, I could do without Instagram having Snapchat stories. I can do without Facebook having Snapchat stories. That's how I found out that one of my high school classmates had an OnlyFans, which is the most mind-boggling thing ever, because it was not the person I expected to have an OnlyFans. I was like, you liked books and now you're wearing underwear online. That is insane.
Hey, look,
cool,
I mean, like,
but insane.
No judgment, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, do you. However,
you go.
I did not expect this. I expected the dog girl, to be honest. Oh God, everyone knows the monkeys. Like you can't go 2 feet without the monkeys, like knowing about them. They're for a television show, I guess. Or
they were for a video game. Like they were trying to make a fighting game, and like you could buy one of these monkeys and have them be your avatar in this game. Which just make a fucking fighting game.
That's a lot of data. Okay, so assuming that you can just get randomly generated, or assuming that you can get a bunch of, these monkeys, there's a ton of, there's thousands, I guess. I don't know how many there are, but there's enough to be a lot.
I mean, they're all like algorithmically generated, I think.
Right. Okay, so Pokemon exist, and all of Pokemon have specific design choices. They're installed with move sets and stuff, and there are almost 1,000 Pokemon. There might be 1,000 Pokemon. There's almost that game works barely. And it gets bigger they're having to trim down all that shit, add DLC because of how many Pokemon there are, okay?
They had to take away Ekans from the last game.
Do they think they can just pull the full, repertoire of Pokemon at launch? What are they doing? I'm trying to wrap my head around this. It's a fighting game. Okay, so let's assume they don't have a map to explore. Let's assume they don't have a story mode.
Actually, no, here's the thing. They said it was going to be a fighting game, but then they just took all the money that the investors gave them and ran.
Well, obviously, because it's a money laundering scheme, but, none of these motherfuckers thought this through, so I'm going to think it through for them. That's what I'm doing right now. So at launch, they were going to have the same amount of fighting game characters as Pokemon, assuming they don't have a map, assuming that it's multiplayer only and no story. That is the worst game I have ever heard about. That is an awful game. It's money laundering.
It just screams money laundering scheme.
Because there's already an issue of money laundering in the art world. I know here in inflation community, we don't really have issues with money laundering. We haven't made NFTs of, stuff that Doc Swell or Lord Altros has.
Well, because, I mean, first of all, that would be stealing. Which fucking NFT minters or whatever the fuck you call them, they do that shit all the time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm genuinely shocked they haven't done stuff for inflation. I'm genuinely shocked. They have a meta girlfriend. They have a meta girlfriend thing. I would like to point that one out. They have a metaverse girlfriend one, which you can redeem supposedly in the Facebook metaverse for a simulated girlfriend that doesn't make any sense.
And this is all for a project the fucking metaverse, as Facebook wants us to believe it's going to exist, isn't even really a thing yet. It's imagine if fucking Microsoft released the next Xbox and then started selling avatars and cosmetic items for your Xbox avatar before the Xbox even came out.
Let's go further. What if they just announced the Xbox and then sold the fucking avatar shit? Wait, they've done that shit. God damn it. See, even the fucking Microsoft shit makes more sense than this Facebook bullshit.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into how the gaming industry has embraced NFTs and the crypto
Remember
market.
the Chadwick Boseman NFT?
I feel like this is ringing a bell. Do I want to know?
Because, Chadwick Boseman died very recently.
I'm aware.
About 2 years ago now. Oh, God. Time hurts. Chadwick Boseman died. Chadwick Boseman died, and at the Academy Awards, they wanted to honor him because he died right before the Academy Awards. So how did they honor him? Did they give him a nice little send-off during the In Loving Memory? Yes, they did, I think. Did they, have a nice PowerPoint, a nice loving tribute? Yes, they did. And then they had the gift bags that they always have at the Academy Awards. And in this gift bag was a code you could redeem for a one-of-a-kind Chadwick Boseman NFT of his spinning head. Made out of gold, which completely baffled me because it's not a thing. And it just goes to show that we don't have money laundering here in the inflation community, as far as I'm aware. We might have content laundering.
We do have piracy. We have the kind of behavior that could potentially lead to money laundering. But the thing is, this community is not really it's still very niche. I know for a fact there isn't a single person with more than that's rich in this community. Because if there was, oh boy, are they holding back? The one person I can think of that might be quote rich is also a pervert. So but NFTs do not make sense. Well, and they also don't support artists either.
No, they don't. I know artists that have had their shit stolen and stuff from it. If you want to make money selling art, buy commissions. Support
your local artists. Support me and support Aggro.
Buy Sassy Viper's lovely commissions. She will make you a grape or an orange for a small loan of $1 million. Oh God!
Life was never easy for me. I got this orange commission for a small loan of $1 million.
Oh God! Oh, if we lived in an alternate timeline where inflation was a de facto kink, that I have no hesitation to think that would be a thing, and I don't want to think about it.
I feel like that word would have a lot more positive connotations for it if the kink was more mainstream. Because anybody talks about inflation these days, it's the economy. Oh,
we wouldn't have economic inflation or expansion. We'd have economic rapid rising prices. We wouldn't have any of that shit. Yeah, no, NFTs are money laundering schemes. Don't do them. There are very few instances in which they do support the artists that they should benefit. I know a couple of adult film actresses have minted NFTs that do actually directly support them and the artist that created them, but it is very rare.
And there are some cases of artists who are buying their own NFTs just to drive up the value of them.
Oh, absolutely. That's how money laundering works. Hell, that's how that game, what is it? It's that Jackbox game. Bidiots. That's how Bidiots works. That's how you win Bidiots. Is you jack up the price of your own work and fuck over other people. It's literally money laundering. Oh my God! You could make NFTs of Bidiots. You could sell the stupid paintings you make. Holy shit!
Don't give them ideas. Do not give them ideas.
I have six different paintings in my phone from gaming sessions that were things I drew. I could literally mint NFTs that would be better quality than this shit that's already on the
market. But don't.
I won't. I like the planet. I would like not to melt glacier.
I like the rainforests.
All I can imagine is you just hugging this big fucking tree, your arms aren't even going around it. Well, that was the NFT segment. That was intense. Now to get even less intense. So, kink and popular culture. So, lately, I have discovered, or we have all discovered, that just popular musicians have an affinity for massive tits.
As do many people.
We've talked about how Lady Gaga has retweeted a massive tit tweet.
She retweeted a breast expansion morph of herself.
It was a morph. I don't know who it was by. But Charlie XCX did the same thing. and we didn't really have any concrete stuff about how that was intersecting with popular culture until Rebecca Black released a new video. Who'd have thought the Friday girl would have gone from Friday to bimbofication?
Bimbofication. Hey, I mean, like, to be fair, like, I've listened to some of her new stuff recently. She's
good.
Pretty good.
It's solid. Even her Friday remix is actually a lot better than the original song.
Like, she does not deserve to be judged by what launched her into stardom. Like,
no, especially considering the fact that what did is a channel that made it off of Outrage Media.
She was in a different place in her life, and she was exploited by a record company.
Yeah, absolutely. And the guy who owns it is absolutely doing it for Outrage Media. I've seen breakdowns about it from a couple like creepypasta YouTubers. Side note, creepypasta YouTubers are now just branching off into just random shit now, I guess. But yeah, the guy who ran it is running a bunch of different. He ran a bunch of different songs. Like that song "I Like Chinese Food" was made by the same guy. But Rebecca Black does have some great songs. Her song "Saturday" is pretty good. First example, right off the bat, or self-reference, is Friday. But then there's the song, I have to look up what the song is, that has sequences with massive breastplates. Is that what they're called?
I think so. That's what I've been calling them. Breastplates, breast foams.
They're big. They're like basketball size.
They look like something that Mads would use.
Yeah. And they look like they're so hyper detailed. They look like stuff that like the Foxy Menagerie Very would have, and different like huge tit models. The song itself is called "Read My Mind," and it features Slater. It's not that I couldn't read it. It's that it has 3 Y's. So
I'm trying to read your mind, but I'm too distracted by what's down there.
And there's just the entire video sort of references it throughout the video, intersperses it. The sequence in question is just her and I think the guest singer on the song on a motorcycle, both of them with giant fluffy Dolly Parton bimbo hair, and then just big ass breastplates, big ass titties, and it's really funny.
They've got some NFTs.
Nice fucking titties. So this segment is obviously on kink and popular culture. Okay. The most common kink that you'll see in popular culture referenced is BDSM. I know that for certain. There have been references to BDSM in cartoons.
Oh yeah, like BDSM is like racism. Like once you start seeing it in your pop in different pieces of pop media, like you can't stop seeing it. It's just a plague. It's everywhere. Like anytime somebody ever gets tied up, you're like, oh hey, that kind of looks like BDSM. It is the Among Us of kinks.
I want that on a pillow. I want that like embroidered on a pillow. BDSM is like racism. Once you see it, you can't stop. You've broken me. Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's so funny. But you're not wrong either. There's fucking BDSM in Courage the Cowardly Dog. There's BDSM in the Powerpuff Girls. I'm sure there's BDSM in fucking Dexter's Lab. Camp Lazlo, I think, has like just has weird rope shit.
I don't think there's any of that in Totally Spies. Like, it doesn't seem like the kind of show that would do that sort of thing.
I can tell that's sarcasm. I can tell that it's sarcasm because it's like every 3rd episode, isn't it?
Me? No.
The Passion Patties episode has it, and force feeding at the same time, which is really funny.
A lot of the latter day SpongeBob episodes had a lot of weird fucking shit going on.
The
especially
weird
with
period,
Squidward.
The weird, oh god, the torture porn with Squidward. Yeah.
Somebody who was writing those episodes was into torture porn.
Oh, absolutely, because there's a scene that comes to mind for me that really gets to me. It's when he gets his toenail ripped off.
I hate that.
Because he's like moving a couch with Patrick, and I'm just like, squids don't have toenails. I know it's a cartoon, but like Steven Hillenburg prided himself.
Squids don't have toenails, and we've never seen him have toenails before.
So it's like completely out of character.
It's completely out of character, and it's just gross for the sake of being gross. I don't like it. Like, having an innuendo or two snuck into a cartoon is one thing, but like having your gross ass.
It's a really detailed toe.
Like, am I supposed to laugh at that? Is it supposed to be funny?
Because like they didn't need it. They didn't need it. They could have just kept the toenail gone. It was still made. The joke wouldn't have changed. Everyone gets their toe crushed by the couch every once in a while. It's a thing. You don't need to show the toenail. But no, like then Disney Channel has had a weird period where I think from like the end of Boy Meets World, so like when That's So Raven and all those shows aired, to Hannah Montana, they'd have an episode where everyone got one character would get fat really quickly, or there'd be an inflation. There's a That's So Raven.
There was straight up an episode. Actually, there are 2 episodes of Sweet Life of Zack and Cody I want to talk about. The first one, so you had characters of Maddie and London, like they were both very self-conscious about their weight. You know, Maddie felt like she was too thin and needed to like gain some weight to be a bit more curvy, and London felt like she was packing on pounds and needed to lose weight. And there was this scene where both of them stepped up to the mirror.
Oh, that fucking
And there was a
scene.
distorted version of like their reflections, and London like straight up had a giant ass.
That was, and it was like played off as like a dramatic joke.
It was played off as a joke, and like I straight up like when I saw that as a kid, I was like, oh, I feel.
There was a weird period in Disney where they just had characters get fat for no reason. Like, there's like, I think it was because they're trying to fight obesity, but I think they just made fat fetishism worse.
I think they just gave people fetishes.
Because like there's this episode of That's So Raven centered around the school cafeteria opening up a food court-esque thing, and it has unhealthy food options, and it's making everyone in the school gain weight unhealthily. And instead of actually talking about the systemic shit that might affect body weight, just make it about how like it's your choice to eat this food, and then there's a sequence where everyone has massive butts. It's a vision sequence that Raven has, which I think about maybe once every blue moon, and I'm like, why did that happen? Why did they choose to make this scene? Why did they
I think about the 05 scene, the blueberry scene from the 05 Wonka movie. And like, looking back at it, it's like you wonder like, why did they frame her this way? Why did they show her like swelling up in this specific part?
There are specific details in that scene.
And then you watch some of the popular media from that time, and you realize this was just kind of a normal thing they were doing.
Everyone was obsessed with butt humor, and I think they just thought it was funny. I think they just wanted to make it really, really realistic. Which, when you look back on it, you're like, okay, that makes sense, but like, it did not carry through.
It did not.
Because you just made a bunch of little kids like me get really fascinated with butts.
It got completely lost in translation during the generational divide.
I guarantee you, if every adult, because there's shit like that with art all the time. Art is like one of the most complex things when you start releasing it to the public. For an example that is not sexual is Starship Troopers. When Robert Heinlein wrote it, it was a full-fledged endorsement of fascist beliefs. Robert Heinlein is a shitty guy. Then
fascist piece of shit.
And then the fucking hippies got a hold of it, and they're like, oh, this is anti-authoritarian satire. And then when fucking whoever
Paul Verhoeven.
Paul Verhoeven got a hold of it, he just made it a satire. Because that's how people interpreted this completely absurd story.
And then people watched the movie, didn't realize it was a satire, and thought, hey, maybe fascism is pretty cool. Maybe people should only have the right to participate in democracy if they're a soldier,
It's just, like, so obviously, like, it was meant to be a joke. In hindsight, it's meant to be like, oh, look, the butt got really big really fast. But, like, it super does not read like that, because like
then that makes me wonder. That makes me wonder, like, will future generations look back at our kink content and then like find it funny and humorous? Like, will it just 100%. Circle back around to its 100%? Initial...
There are people who think that Egyptians worshipped cats. 80% of the time, they just thought cats were funny. Like, because humans don't change. Humans do not change. We've all thought cats are funny.
I wonder. Okay, I mean, like, I don't know how you're gonna preserve like internet videos or like just internet
We're
culture
not.
in general.
There'll be a point in which all the servers.
If you do, like, will archaeologists find like a bunch of cat videos and think that we worship them?
But like, no, like art and its translation, you gotta be constantly vigilant because eventually somebody's gonna fucking miss it and it's gonna spread, and then you got people like us.
I mean, like, you do need to be vigilant about it, but like, you can't really be too careful because like you can't really control what people are into because, I mean, spoiler alert for our interview coming up, we talked a little bit about like the sort of the first generation, second generation, and third generation of people who basically got into this kink. You have like the first generation people who birthed it like Athena out of the mind of Zeus, who made
absolutely,
Tom and Jerry and all of these cartoons back in like the 50s, 60s, and 70s that featured like inflation and all of this weird shit. Then you had the second generation that grew up with those cartoons, found something oddly sexual about them, and
absolutely,
basically made a community out of it. And then you have the third generation who basically just thrives off of the community that already existed.
Yeah, it happens with all art communities. It happens with furries. Started out as it was dual. Either there were people who were enjoying it in a carnal way, and then there were people who enjoyed anthropomorphic cartoons. And those two communities were separate. And then they got a little closer as they started elaborating, and then they
got a little bit closer. They scooted a little bit on the sofa. They started holding hands for a little bit, and then
and then they just made the fuck out.
And then they just made the fuck out. Nuzzle to nuzzle.
Ooh woo.
Ooh woo.
But yeah, there was a period where there were just tons of episodes where characters, rapidly gained weight, or they inflated, or they had giant asses. And then in that same That's So Raven episode, she puts on an inflatable suit. I think to demonstrate that weight gain is a bad thing, but it doesn't look like a real body. It's a balloon that you strap to yourself. So it's like.
Also, let's not forget that they turned into cows in one episode.
Oh God, they do.
There was like a Halloween episode where like she and her friend turned into cows. Actually, like, can we go on like a tangent about like transformation shit in pop culture media?
That's part of this shit. We've decided
like,
that.
I feel like that's kind of like next to BDSM. I feel like transformation is definitely the most prevalent of all of them. That's 100%. The one I certainly remember a lot as a kid.
Oh, absolutely. I do not disagree. There's the snail episode with SpongeBob, which is
the one where he takes snail HRT.
So there's that, and then Transformers exist, but that's not sexual unless
unless you're into that. I mean, hey, people are into aliens, people into robots. It's not entirely out of the question.
Voiced by Peter Cullen, absolutely.
I mean, like, have you seen Bumblebee?
No, I want to. That is a sexy Bumblebee, by the way.
He is a sexy Bumblebee.
There's always a transformation in early Cartoon Network cartoons. I think there's an episode where everyone's turned into dogs with the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, that
I mean,
weird.
Johnny Test was pretty notorious.
God damn it, Johnny Test is the worst one. It's like every third episode. Oh look, Johnny Test is gender swapped. Why is he 2 feet taller and have boobs?
Actually, that wasn't even a full thing. That was just a quick gag.
I know, but why is he a fully grown adult?
I feel like somebody definitely so there's a bit of debate as to whether animators actually put their kinks into their work.
Oh, 100%.
But that was definitely, without a doubt, somebody was like...
It's like they do a gender swap of Johnny, and he just becomes a MILF. Why is the opposite gender of Johnny MILF? Why is that the thing? I remember I used to watch Cartoon Network all the time. And Johnny Test is always on because it was the Teen Titans Go of its era. It could get a cheap laugh and, fill time. It was the Dark Ages. But it's one of those shows. It's one of those shows.
Totally Spies was absolutely fucking notorious for transformation shit. All kinds of kink shit. But I remember the episodes that stick out in my mind the most always involved transformation. There was this one episode where they got turned into animal hybrids at one point.
Yeah.
And Clover was this sort of a elephant woman hybrid.
Yeah.
Sam had a lobster claw. I remember watching that as a kid and being like, I don't know how to feel about this at all.
This can't be good for me, but I feel great.
Oh, absolutely. And you just, in popular culture, it's such a prevalent fucking thing. And they're supposed to be like jokes or like, dilemmas. But then you got kids that are just like,
What if we transformed into furries as a joke? Just kidding. Unless.
Ooh, woos.
There's this one clip I saw on Twitter at one point. I don't know what cartoon it was from. I don't even really know when I saw it.
Yeah.
But it was from the show.
This is a great creepypasta.
It was from the show. It had anthropomorphic characters in it, and one of them was this female hippo with a huge butt who sat in a barber chair and then ended up crushing the barber under her weight. That scene was obviously supposed to be a joke. Like, oh, a character gets flattened by a heavy thing, or a character is fat and ends up, being careless. But, like, I saw that and I was like, I could see myself being awakened by this as a child.
Was it My Gym Partner's a Monkey?
It was not My Gym Partner's a Monkey. It was much older than that.
Oh, it's older, so it's probably an older cartoon. But yeah, that checks out.
Are there any like other non-cartoon examples that we can think of?
Oh, fucking Star Trek.
Star Trek. Oh.
There's always a transformation episode in at least every Star Trek series. There is one that is just horrific. It's just horrifying.
I watched some Star Trek, but I need to watch a lot more. Can you go over this one for me?
Yes, the one that I'm thinking of was in The Next Generation, and they were exploring an unknown planet that they thought was uninhabited. And they have this red shirt go away on the away team. I think it's a red shirt. It's a lady. And she inhales something in it, and it turns out to be some cells that are like that planet's inhabitants' form of reproduction. Already fucked premise. She just breathes in sperm. But instead of like fully, impregnating you, it just turns you into one of their species. And throughout the episode, her biology changes, and she her hands merge and her skin changes. There's also an episode of Voyager in like the second season where they try to break the warp barrier, which is just the sound barrier but for space apparently. And Tom Paris succeeds in doing it and inadvertently accelerates his own time stream, so he rapidly evolves, quote unquote. God. He loses the ability to breathe oxygen normally, and he turns into a fish guy and a salamander, and he gets Captain Janeway to do it, and she turns into a fish frog thing.
That's so babies. Weird.
It is such a weird episode, and I love it.
Oh my god, I need to watch more Star Trek.
You need to watch Voyager specifically because there's some fucked shit in that.
I have a friend who really likes Voyager. She has a crush on the captain.
Oh yeah, Jane. I thought I would get into the series and have a massive crush on Seven of Nine, which don't get me wrong, I do. She's a lovely character, but Janeway could step on me and I would not care.
She's got a very nice personality.
Then there's the Orion characters, the Orion slave chicks, which is an entire culture based around the concept of BDSM.
Are they the green women?
Yeah, they're the green ladies. They emit pheromones. They emit pheromones that do two things. This is my favorite thing. I'm geeking out about Star Trek. This is my favorite thing. So the green ladies are the dominant gender in the Orion government, but they act subservient. But in reality, their biology emits a form of pheromones that makes males of most species completely subservient or completely just bend over backwards to please them. And the pheromones also cause, you could tell this is written by a dude really trying to get some shit out. The pheromones that cause men to fall head over heels for them are the same pheromones that make women hate them. Just fucking low.
What about lesbians though?
I want to answer. I would like to know an answer too, but Star Trek never gives us an answer.
Is it like a mix? Does it make them want to hate fuck?
I guess. I hope that would be awesome. There's the parasitic species like the Dax or whatever, the people with the weird stripes of dots around their body, who can just possess hosts and become different people and stuff. It's very interesting. There's shapeshifters Odo is a shapeshifter. He's a piece of shit as far as I'm aware with DS9, I guess. I don't know anything about DS9, but I want to. It looks awesome. There's a lot of instances of stuff in pop culture, and I think I think it's supposed to be played for dramatic or joke effect, but sometimes they just focus too much on details, and sometimes I think they're just doing it deliberately.
Some like you can't really tell with this sort of stuff. Like sometimes it could be entirely by accident in some cases, but then like later on, like it inspires somebody to get into the industry and start making media, and then they're like, oh hey, well I mean like this stuff was in my cartoons back in the day, or the media I consumed back in the day, so, you know, it shouldn't be too bad inserting some of my kinks into this.
So, to sort of close out, I guess, I would like to talk about American Dragon Jake Long.
Oh, I remember that one too.
I'm not going to talk about the show, I'm going to talk about the creator.
Oh.
But the creator, when he proposed the show and it got greenlit by Disney, supposedly, I don't know if this is true, but supposedly executives in the animation and, you know, Disney Channel department. I love telling this story because it's such a fucking weird story. But supposedly, an executive came out with a massive binder and just thudded it down, opened it up, and it was just reams and reams of Kim Possible porn. And his one sentence to the creator was like, "This will happen to your show if you make this." And the creator was like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine." he's like, "Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's a cartoon." I mean, we're talking about an industry where John, whatever his name is, was
keep in mind. I don't know a whole lot about the creator of that show, but apparently some of his prior work was a little bit on the NSFW side.
Well, probably. It's a show about a furry or a scale.
Don't believe me? Look up Puna the Fuck Dog.
I know about that. Yeah, I know about that. Like, I mean, you know, he's like.
Sorry, I had to whisper. I'm not in my usual. I'm not in my usual room, recording room.
No, it's fair.
The walls have ears.
But yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. And it's a show about a scaly. I mean, let's just be honest. Like, he's not really fighting mythological creatures. These are characters LARPing. The dog is a man. The dog is a short man.
There was that one scene in that one episode with that monster lady, where the guy was trying to get a kiss, and like she turns into her monster form, and he's like, jackpot.
But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff where I think we all took it differently, and to this day, I think we don't realize some of the shit was meant to be jokes, and it didn't land with us, which might just prove that a lot of us have autism. Just straight up don't get jokes.
Yeah, I think autism might be a factor as well. Like, it's like
100%.
We experience the world differently from most neurotypical people, and we kind of hook on to certain details that most other people don't.
Textures, you know, and stuff. Like, the reason why I like the 05 movie a lot was there was just a lot of color and texture, and it was like you get this, you know, regular gray world, then you go into the factory and it's just bright colors for the rest of the 30 to 45 minutes, and you're just overwhelmed with all of that. So, you know, it's a different experience. So I'm sure it plays a factor in a lot of people's interests. I also think just some people, they just like the erotic tension of latex squeaking. There's like, and then that's it. But yeah, that's kink and pop culture. A comment below, examples that you know of. Don't be weird. Please keep it chill.
Keep it civil. Don't make me bonk you.
Bonk you with the horny stick. Okay,
I know ACAB includes the horny police, but sorry, I'm just doing my job.
All right, so up next is our interview with CleverFoxMan. Hope you all enjoy, and we'll see you after that. And welcome to the interview portion of our podcast. My name is Aggro. With me today, as always, is Sassy and our lovely guest, CleverFoxMan.
The one and only, baby.
Yes, the clever fox boy.
Yeah, the dumb vulpine man.
All right.
Aggro, I think we might have a furry in our midst.
Possible.
Imposter.
No, I'm not. It's funny you say that. I'm actually not really that big of a furry. Like, they're easy to draw.
That's fair. They're like, it's cartoony, yeah.
I'm not into
say that.
furries. They're just very easy to draw, okay?
I'm not into furries. I just got really off the SWAT cats at a young age. You know?
Says the guy who got bit by a zombie. I'm not a zombie, guy.
Listen, this sweltering fucking wound on my leg doesn't mean I got bit by one. Okay, I swear.
I did get bit by a furry though.
Yeah.
All right. So, the first question, as like always with community members, is how the hell did you get into this mess?
How most people from this kind of like, I classify it as there's like 3 different generations of this. There's one which are like the crazy motherfuckers who were just like, yes, this is what I want. Then 2 is like those people made content and then we consumed it. So that's generation 2. I consumed like cartoons,
Johto, obviously.
the Blueberry stuff, very early age, VHS,
Right.
that kind of thing. And then so that's where I got it. I got the Blueberry stuff. I got a lot of the bursting stuff from like Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, do you
'cause
ever?
There's a lot of it in there. Then the 3rd generation, and this really fucking weird, is like people who get it from just the internet itself. I gotten a few comments from people saying, "You're the reason why I have this fetish." I'm like, no. No.
Oh my god.
It's too late.
That's gotta be so surreal. Like not even a piece of media, but like not even like a piece of media incidentally getting people into a fetish, but a piece of fetish media getting people on board.
Yeah, because I started off, and you're young, you don't know the fucking internet. The moment you get on it, you find this kind of stuff, and you're like, "There's other people! Holy shit! There's other people who like this. I can't believe it."
My younger brother at one point accidentally stumbled across a series of Sonic Vor videos on YouTube. He didn't even know that it was fetish material. It's just, oh hey, these characters are just eating people. That's interesting.
See, the thing is, like, I'm fine with Vor. The minute anyone throws Sonic into the mix, I'm immediately very tense. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Listen, to anyone listening, if you make Sonic content, just know that's like a registered trademark or something.
Hey, children.
Hey, Tails, you're looking pretty delicious right now.
No, stop.
No, what I'm getting at is like, if you're gonna do that, have at least 50% of your gallery be actually like original shit, so that way you have something that isn't tied to an actual franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't because once Sega goes for its copyright, when it decides it cares about something.
Oh yeah, not only that, you'll look less cringe because it's like, well, he likes Sonic, but he also makes this shit too. That's pretty cool.
Oh god. But okay. So yeah, you got it from what you deem this 2nd gen, the people who it was like sort of a hybrid of content creation and like out of like it started as like, I like the film, and then you kind of got online, and then the 3rd generation's purely online.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way that I got into drawing, that's a completely different story because you had people like Mabo, Bloober Boy, freaking Weirdo, all of those fucking guys, and it always took them a really long time to make the next image. And I was like, I can do
high detail.
this.
Yeah, high detail art is a hell of an endeavor for a lot of people.
Well, no, it's just like I can fucking do this. And then I was like, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought. 11, 12 years later? Yeah, it's gone on 12 years now.
Oh god, I feel old.
Jeez,
I remember finding your art.
Yeah, right? Like now I'm doing this as a profession. Now I actually like have my income sourced from this. So yeah.
Not purely fetish art, I have to specify, right?
100%, yeah.
Really?
100%, yeah.
That's
Oh, you're living the dream, my man.
Yeah, I bought listen, guys, you liked the way that I draw titties and bellies so much that I got a car. So there you go.
See this Lambo? Blueberry.
Listen, not only do I have one, I have 2. But what's this on the wall? That's knowledge, baby.
I wish I could go back in time. I wish I could go back in time to my 12-year-old self and say, hey, you know that weird feeling you got while watching Violet Beauregard blow up? Yeah, that's gonna be your moneymaker later on in life, my
You can
friend.
make money off of it. Fuck.
Also, you're a
I mean,
girl.
I started putting the stuff online when I was like, what, fucking 11, 15 maybe?
Plus,
Oh
I'm
my
sure,
God,
like,
wow.
since, like, it's very easy to, you know, since you said it was very easy to draw furries, like, furries are rich.
Oh no, it's not that they're rich, it's that, you know, a lot of them are single and have disposable income.
Exactly.
Or,
So
you know,
they're rich.
or, you know, they actually are in a relationship, but, you know, they're like, a lot of the people that I talk to are actually really intelligent, you know, we're not ready for children yet, you know, so it's like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it
I
completely.
think a large portion of how we classify people online is, like, we've been taught that furries are weirdos that are completely, like, immature, and the reality is the people who are saying that are usually the ones that are very immature.
Mm.
Well, you know, I mean, it's like every single fandom. I mean, like one guy told me, you know, the furry fandom's a lot like the fucking sports fandom. You know, you got the weirdos who whack off the fucking Sports Illustrated.
I'm sorry, I can't imagine.
And then, you know, you have, you know, the regular people who are like, yeah, I understand this. And then you have the weird technical guys who are like, back in 1970, when furry started, you know,
God,
same
God.
thing.
Oh yeah.
It's any fandom's like that.
We just which that sorry, that's a really interesting discussion to have. This is sort of at the intersection of two things. Like, as a sociologist, it's a fandom in one capacity, and it's like a fetish or sexual proclivity in another category. So we have two intersecting sort of subgroups online, you know?
Well, yeah, because there are people genuinely who do not see furry as a fetish. They just really like anthropomorphic characters.
It's like that picture of Marge holding a potato. I just think they're neat.
Like, yeah, but then there's also like a whole bunch of. I mean, you know, Danny from fucking Game Grumps is a great example of that. You know,
Allegedly.
he likes anthropomorphic characters like a lot. You know, but you know, he's not really. The sex thing gets kind of weird for him. But there's a lot of people like, you know.
I just recently watched that clip where he's like, "I'm not a furry. I just think they're cool."
When it comes to like the sexual aspect, I feel like I explained that furry is actually like the bandage fetish. Like whatever fetish you have, you can slap furry onto it.
Yeah. No, there are like different subgroups and different groups of people that, like, I like they're you can definitely mix and match, and you can sort of put together, and they work very well because, like, one's just a general and then one's a specific, like, if that's the right term.
So actually,
and you know, it can grow, evolve, and stuff like that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So actually, I have a question. Like, you bringing up the concept of furry just kind of being a label you can, like, you know, slap on anything, like any kind of kink whatsoever. Not gonna disclose anything, but I've been on a couple of furry subreddits. And
Okay.
I seem to notice there's a lot of, like, inflation related memes there. I noticed that inflation is definitely popular within a lot of furry circles. So, like, what is it about inflation in particular that gravitates furries towards that particular kink, and how is it so popular within that community?
Well, I can actually tell you how I like, because, you know, I liked anthro characters, but it never, like, I started liking like human inflation stuff, but I came to the realization that not only are a lot of the inflation artists that are really good furries, but there's a lot more emotion that you can tell with furry characters that you can't with humans. Like, you know, you can angle the ears a certain way. You know, you can wrinkle snouts and shit like that, and you can also like have the tail stick up flat or become like wavy. So like, there's a level of emotional resonance that you can get with an anthropomorphic character that you can't really do with people.
It's body language. It's because, like, when, like, humans map a lot of, like, behaviors onto like animals. Like
Mm.
my dog has never once grinned. He never smiles. He's a dog. He's not capable of it. But there are times in which it looks like he's smiling and he's behaving like he's smiling. So I project that he's, smiling. And that kind of works with anthropomorphized characters, in that you can you can exaggerate human body language onto a form that like we wouldn't consider human in my mind, you know?
I mean, Sassy Viper. I mean, you sound European, right?
I mean,
You,
I'm from New York. I'm from the States, but I have German heritage.
yeah, but you have German hair. Do you know what Asterix is?
The comic with the I don't know what it's about. I know the comic that you're referring to, but I don't think I
Yeah,
know anything about it.
Asterix. He's a Gaul barbarian, and they're fighting the Romans and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that
But
one.
his his helmet has feathers on it, and depending on what his mood is, the feathers could be perked up or they could be slumped
Yeah.
based off of his emotion. So that's an extra added bit of detail, because if starting artists, if you add a whole bunch of line art into a face, it ends up looking wrinkly and old. So you have to try to like simplify a face design in order to get, and if you go too simple, you can't actually have a face. So that's the give and take that you have to play with.
It's also, I think, like cartoons have great expression, and it's sort of that like direct evolution, or how like furries came off of cartoons, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally get that. I mean, a lot of the cartoons with inflation were like Tom and Jerry. A whole bunch of the Tex Avery stuff had that. So it's only like natural that one thing would lead to another thing.
Like I'm genuinely curious in my mind, like why that was a joke. Like why that was sort of a thing that happened like in Tom and
I
Jerry, you
guess.
know?
I mean, well, oh no, he fell on a fucking air hose, and oh no, he's big now. Ha, that's stupid. But two or three people see that, and then they say, ah, that's actually kind of hot. I
That's
kind of
kind of
like that.
hot.
I just, cause like I'm not a furry. I can't like I'm technically intimidated by furries because I'm not a person who likes being around mascot suits. It just makes me very like uneasy. Furries are great. Furries are the nicest people ever. I just get very intimidated by them because they're very much more expressive than I can be. But at the same time, it's like it's fascinating looking at like how wide ranging like their online fandom and culture spreads, and how it influences and kind of innovates a lot of the spaces it goes into, and how that sort of is ignored in many cases too, because like people don't want to acknowledge, oh, a lot of the internet and internet culture is furries and is like built off of furries, you know?
Well, I mean, I think part of that kind of just has to do with every group that is largely consistent of like LGBTQ people. That they largely go ignored or uncredited with any kind of cultural movement.
The concept of mixing human and animal stuff goes back to like Egypt, well before Cleopatra even existed. That kind of like mixture of those two concepts, because
Some of the
people
first cave art on the planet was a man.
the people have imaginations. They see a fucking dog, right? And they're like, oh, well, he has eyebrows. He's looking at me kind of like I look at him. And it's like, what if he was like me, though?
First caveman. Ah, he's got eyebrows. You have face. Draws picture on cave wall. And like I took a class on religion last semester with a wonderful professor who no longer works at my college. And one of the first religious like or considerably religious icons like in the world on cave walls, like that kind of stuff, is an image of an anthropomorphized animal man. So it's a human thing to go like, what's cool? I'm part wolf, or like I want to be as tough as a lion or something.
Well, it comes from like, oh, like I am ferocious in the way that I fight or kill the food that I get, and I attribute that to the thing that also does the same thing.
In a world of
It's
sheep, I am the wolf.
A sheep in wolf's clothing. Think about that one. Oh, deep.
Ooh.
No.
Wouldn't that make the wolf a sheep furry?
I think like I also think that like the online space of like inflation, its community has had generations, as you said, and each subsequent generation has sort of built off the last one. The first two could not sustain past a certain point, because it was so insular. Like eventually they would grow out of it and stop doing it eventually, had they not, um, existed, or had they not like had the next subsequent generations come about.
I'll tell you this though. I talked to a lot of guys who worked on like cartoons and stuff. Those guys are horny as shit.
Well, yeah.
They throw that
Like,
shit. They throw that shit in there constantly. Are you
oh,
fucking kidding?
absolutely. And if they're not, if they're not, they have to permit it, because like, how could you sit through an entire episode of certain cartoons and not be like, well, the parents are not going to like this because they're going to get bored fast. Let's put in a fucking innuendo right now.
Like that's the thing that a lot of people don't make the connection of, is like children's content is made by adults, and adults, we're adults. We also like this weird shit.
I think it's very funny that like in the creative process, like people don't factor that in. People don't factor that like with Steven Universe. There are tons of fans who are like, who don't get that it's made for kids, but it's made by adults. So there's going to be some grown up fucking stuff in it, and it's going to be talked through like a grown up lens, so that like in a way that's digestible for kids. They're going to simplify shit, but they're also going to talk about a complex subject. Like it goes for tons and tons of things. Again, like I'm not going to sit through a cartoon if it's not somewhat entertaining for myself and the person and like the kid that that would be watching it. Like it just, if you watch a cartoon that's purely made for kids with no adult like catering or understanding at all, it's entirely incomprehensibly boring.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Like I've watched baby shows. Those are shows that are made for babies to watch, to be entertaining to babies. They do not have innuendo in them at all, if anything.
I don't know. The Teletubbies had some weird thing going on.
Well, that's the Teletubbies. They don't count.
In German they actually have a swear word for that uses Teletubbies.
That's amazing.
What it is, it's if you're being stupid or an idiot, they'd call you a Teletubby Zurückwinker, and that means you are so. What it means is you're so stupid that you actually wave back at the Teletubbies.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's amazing.
Oh my
Germany,
God.
I love you. You have a word for everything.
Like
Yep, they
even
do.
when I was little, like I never responded to Dora when she said like, "What was your favorite part of the trip?" I was just like, "What is she waiting for? Why is the screen going like frozen?"
I would watch Dora and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. It's another Game Grumps
Who are
reference.
you talking to?
Fucking go left.
Oh yeah, no, like I guarantee you that the people who did shout at Dora are the same people who shout at Markiplier for not going left on the fucking screen. What are you doing?
Or the people who go, you could have picked this one move in the Pokemon Let's Play, but instead you picked this other one.
Oh my god. Yeah, oh dude. Oh, heaven forbid you play fucking Dark Souls the way that you want. Fuck. I want a fat roll. Fuck you. Speaking of fat rolls, I've gotten into this weird fucking thing because my pal Brewhard, he draws really like hefty weight
Hell yeah.
on his stuff, and just recently, like I saw images of his, and I'm like, I told him, Brew, it's been like I haven't thought of this for a really long time, but the way that you drew her, I don't know what it is, but I want to fuck that belly button, man.
I was not expecting it to go that direction, but I should have.
In typical Brew format, he's like, Foxman, it's funny. You're not the only person to tell me that.
I need to see this. I need to see the light here. I love big bellies. I love softness, but I've never been turned on by belly buttons.
There's a growing collective of people. in feedism, because I follow feedism models and stuff. There's a growing collective within feedism that just that like really big women, and like they don't want to fuck the standard sexy parts, as people would do, but they want to do the non-sexy, the sort of just regular parts, like rolls and belly button. And belly button penetration has become an increasingly large thing that I've been like, oh wow, there are a lot of people into this.
Ooh, increasingly large.
Oh, for
When
fuck's
they're, when
sake.
they're chunky, you like fuck in between their fucking like armpits or whatever. Like I've seen videos like
I mean,
that
like
all the
tit
time.
fucking is already a thing, so fat roll fucking, I guess, isn't really that much of a.
Well, no, it's not that different. I'm just like, wow, there are a lot more people into this than I expected.
All right. Do you mind if I like post some of the images in general? I know he's gonna get
That's
kicked.
fine. It's literally the whole server is meant for that shit. So like,
Ooh.
Yeah, I was just like, my brain just fired off a weird neuron where I'm like, that belly button requires a penis in it.
I mean, like, it's a cute belly button, but it's not really winning me over.
It's because of like the heft of it, it's like round and
gravity.
Like, maybe it's just me, because it's like whenever I see like a very, very large woman, like my first instinct isn't, ooh, I need to like fuck her fat rolls. It's, oh my god, I need to like squeeze all of that. I need to like just get in all of that fat like a fucking like waterbed or something.
You know what? I will say this. So like you guys like expansion with the idea that you're gonna fuck them, right?
I mean, yeah, sure.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't understand the guys that want universe-sized inflation.
Yeah, that once you get past a certain point and once it's hard to comprehend, then like it's not really much of a turn on for me anymore, because it's like you've gotten to a point where I can't even like, what am I even supposed to do with that?
It becomes cosmically incomprehensible.
Yeah.
So yeah. Once you get like past the size of like a gas station, that's kind of like getting a little bit fucking ridiculous.
Going on a sort of a different tangent of fetishism, but as a fan of size and as a fan of giantesses, that's why I think Lady Dimitrescu is so sexy, because she's tall, she's inhumanly large, but she's at least comprehensible.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%.
She can fit inside a room with you, even though she is huge.
Like for me, tangibility is important because this is a tactile thing to me. Like it's texture, it's sound, it's tension, and it's also like but also like once you get to the intimacy of it, then it starts getting crazy. I think there's a certain point where some people like the size aspect of it to the full extreme, and I can't fathom that. It's cool to look at, but I just can't fathom that.
Yeah, no. Like once you get bigger than the planet, it's too much.
See, here's the thing. I understand where it's coming from, because there's the concept of the inflator and the inflatee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would imagine that people who like the galaxy size shit either A, just want to like see somebody just blow up to that size, and that's like, I did that. Look at that thing up in the sky.
Look at me, I did this.
Look on my work, see mighty in despair.
Yeah, it's like, I did that, and look, I'm standing on the fucking atmosphere that is her left tit. That, or
That's one of my favorite. Oh, that's amazing.
See, it's either that, or they're the inflatee and they just want to be that size, and like they attribute their feelings towards their guts getting big to the size of, because if I get off to like my stomach now, like it must be multiple times that much, like if I'm that big.
Yeah, it's magnified. See, I think the best execution of it in my mind that sort of kind of captured my interest was Blue Planet by okay,
I love
or
that
whatever.
comic so much.
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's like, it's just a giant planet that like Earth became engulfed by blueberries, essentially. That was the entire thing.
Well, my thought was that like it was just some woman who got trapped in space, inflated into a blueberry, and then got to be planet-sized, and then just became a planet.
Well, like, because see, the story is they're returning to, I think, Earth after a mission to Mars.
Yeah.
And they lost communication with Earth. Like, what the fuck happened? And
well,
then
and they ended up in stasis for like 500 years.
Oh yeah, and it's just a, like, to me, like this whole like planet size to me is just so incomprehensible. But if they like create a setting where it functions, then it becomes like tangible to me and
Yeah.
stuff.
Like you scale this giant mountain only to realize, oh shit, this isn't a mountain, this is a tit.
That's a great way to lose an areola, Tom.
That reminds me, Sassy. When I was younger, I used to refer to nipples as mountain buttons because
Mountain.
I was fucking 3 and I didn't know what the word was.
That's amazing.
And
mean,
so
it's better-
that just dredged up one of the fucking oldest memories in my brain.
Yeah.
I think there's also like a great discussion to be had about like where each like intersects, like size and inflation intersect, or where size and transformation intersects,
Oh yeah, I mean, like a lot of people don't know this. I've talked about it a few times, but I don't think it like. Not only that, my YouTube got nuked, so I made a new one.
Fuck.
Oof.
Yeah, it sucks. I made a new YouTube. It will be in the link in the description below. A lot of people don't know that I'm actually like the inflatee. I don't like being the inflator.
That's fair.
That's
So
interesting.
whenever I draw a lady getting big, I'm like, yeah, that's me. Oh, my tummy. Oh, it's so big. I'm embarrassed.
Here's a potentially personal question. Do you feel the same way when you draw men getting inflated?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Egg.
Stop turning people into
Egg.
In fact, most of the men that I've inflated are either commissions or just straight up the Foxman persona.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, I get that too, because like I'm not like I'm a switch between the two. Like I like there are times in which I'm like, hey, absolutely, 100%, I'm inflating you too. Oh, I'm going to feel these sensations as a tactile thing. And I think there are a lot of people who are like that, or they don't, like they don't know how to convey that they're like that, but they want to.
It also has that like bondage aspect to
Oh
it
yeah.
where you're by your own body and stuff like that, or
Like-
your clothes getting tight.
Like that's just the hottest shit ever. Like it's if you like bondage, like if you like getting tied up and restrained by like ropes or something, like what about getting tied up and restrained by your own biology?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I saw a tweet by I think Air Grenade or somebody posting some of Air Grenade's old content. I think it was Air Grenade. And somebody had responded to those pictures. What about inflating in office clothes is so enticing? And that kind of ties back into that idea. It's just a it's another emulation of sort of BDSM concepts. It's like you're getting flustered and personally involved and sort of like humiliated or something in a space that's supposed to be professional. So it's taboo. It's like, oh no, this deeply personal thing that I really enjoy, I'm now all flustered, but also in front of, God and country or whatever. It's that sort of like, oh wow, shit.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the same reason why it's really neat to see like, in Jackie Chan movies, people doing like fighting in business suits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like it's not something that you would see somebody doing in that outfit.
It's like a feel good thing. It's an emotional evocation.
Oh, like some of the most viewed images that I have are like not even nude. It's the outfits.
Yeah.
Like one of them was Turmoil from SWAT Cat. She has like a dictator outfit. Like she's not nude at all, but like that outfit tight, apparently people are like, "Whoa, yes, that please."
I totally get that because like some of the more like restrained or more personal like affects, I think something that even like modern porn doesn't understand is the intimacy of the situation is important. The sex is important, but even more important is sort of the style and the conveyance of style and the conveyance of like outfit and like aesthetic to it. Because otherwise it's just like, wow, this is the third video I've seen where two guys in normal like gym clothes bang each other in a fucking house.
Yeah.
Well, now we know what you're into.
No. It's just like there's so much like, and I think also there's this weird like people are getting so into their kinks and stuff because people have gotten tired of vanilla porn. They've gotten tired of seeing the same 5 fucking situations. The pizza guy coming to the house was taboo in the 70s. It's no longer taboo.
Nowadays, it's not the pizza guy; it's the fucking lift or whatever.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I've had that situation. I'm a DoorDasher. I've had that situation. I've been like, I'm trying to make money.
Did someone order a big sausage pizza?
I did, but I don't have any money.
Why the fuck did you order a pizza?
Hey there, I'm here. Hey there, buddy. I'm here, and I got you your McDonald's. Cock flops out.
I didn't know McDonald's started selling hot dogs again.
Oh, I didn't know I ordered a quarter pounder.
You know, they call it a Royale with cheese in Europe.
Oh, the amount of euphemisms you could make with the fucking McDonald's menu. I got your Big Mac right.
Man.
Oh God, no wonder feederism is so sexual.
I want to bite into your Egg McMuffin. You know, it's funny. You know what? Fuck that. You know what? It's funny because most feeder videos are silence and a woman eating awkwardly in a room. If they played on like the food names, that
absolutely
would be the next move.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's weird for me because it's like, I like the idea of feederism, I like the idea of people gaining weight, but actually watching, like, somebody eat during a feeding video isn't really the most engaging thing to me.
My favorite thing about it, side note, my favorite thing about it is more just skipping forward and watching them go from, like, they've tackled this ginormous feat. Like, you know, the sheer ability of it. But I could see Chubby Chiquita doing that kind of shit, just playing on the fucking euphemisms, because she's already just a fucking giant meme of a person in the feedism community. She absolutely could do that.
That avocado guy that screams on camera, what's his name?
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
That fucking avocado guy, like the Nikita Khrushchev or whatever the fuck his name is. I don't know. Anyways, this guy, you know, like a lot of people were like, what the fuck? He was really healthy and now he's like super fucking fat. And I'm like, okay, well, me and a few other people are like, this is clearly a fucking fetish. They made a Patreon about it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, it's this weird like degradation fetish. And you know what? If that's what he wants to do with his fucking life, you only live one life, and that's what if that's what you want to do, and you're not fucking hurting someone else, fucking have at it, dude.
My only preference is maybe don't do it on YouTube, because that'll just get them to fucking target everybody doing that on YouTube, and it'll just nuke everybody.
Well, and also you're just gonna get demonetized.
No. That's why a few of like my friends and I like think that it's a fetish thing, because it's like, oh well, he used to be like the good boy, you know, he knew like all of the nutrition shit, but he's bad and he's annoying and he's slobbish.
There's
you know, that's the fetish. That's the fetish. Making fun of him is part of it.
And the thing is, like, I don't think people like, because there's an entire group on TikTok who are just like, wow, we were fans of him, but he destroyed himself. I'm like, do you guys not realize that might be the point of what he's doing? And it's fascinating to watch how different groups digest it, and it's insane, because like, and it's insane how weird niche fetishes propagated on YouTube for a short time, and Daily Motion to a lesser extent. There was a time in which like you could find specific creator stuff like Good Day Good Emotion, who's Denzel Torrington actually, and then like a bunch
of studio and like fucking up the textures and shit, but I love his shit. Yeah.
Yolandra X used to post videos all over that shit. It's very fascinating to like watch how quickly they rise, then fall, and then just in the fall they spread like mushroom spores to other sites in different ways. You know?
You know what's weird about Yolandra? Like they started again and they went on Twitter, and I'm like, hey, I just like contact him because that was open. I was like, holy shit, yeah, I fucking love your stuff from back in the day. And they're just like, oh shit, CleverFoxMan, I love your shit. And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? What?
It's bizarre. Like, it's bizarre as a creator when people say that they like your content, you know?
Great example, like Big Horse, the OG.
Oh, wow. Jesus. I forgot about that person.
I contacted them. I'm like, oh man, you know, I loved your shit from back in the day. It's so fucking good. It's like, yeah, I watch your stuff from time to time. Like, oh, what? Senpai noticed me. Ah, shit.
Oh my god, I like, whenever some high profile inflation artist starts following me on either Twitter or DeviantArt, I feel the same way.
The thing is, I've worked so fucking hard and I've done so much work, and it's just like a passion thing and a work thing that like, it never really dawns on me until like right now-ish that like, I'm actually kind of one of the more popular guys doing it.
I will say, like, as I mentioned off camera, your video on, like, sort of an introduction to inflation fetishism, like, that was one of the first informative videos on the subject I ever saw.
It started as an essay, and then I made it a video because I realized some people wouldn't read it. Looking back on it, I'm glad that my YouTube kind of got nuked because I hate my voice in that video specifically. Because I was trying to be quiet and stuff because like the parents were in the other room and some shit. They didn't care. They were sleeping. So that was like, you know, do people in your immediate family or friend circle know that you're into this?
I admitted it to my brother at one point, and probably every sexual partner I've ever had.
Thanks to my shitty privacy settings on our home computer when I was 13, my mom knows. And I know that my little brother has it because he gets on my fucking YouTube account on the Xbox and looks at shit. And I know it's him because I'm at work and I'm not looking at it.
Mom said it's my turn to look at inflation videos on the Xbox.
I know for a fact that my fiance, like my girlfriend of 7 years, fucking fiance, we're getting married next year.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
congratulations.
no, like, yeah, thank you. But, you know, it's like, she hates this story, and I know that she's going to watch this, and she's going to be like, yep, that's him. He's telling that one. First fucking second that I actually talked to her, she's closing the fridge at this fucking party. We all had a few shots in us, and like, she just turns, sees this thin fucking white weirdo with his fucking hand on his head, fucking other hand on his fucking hip, leaning up against the wall, just like, hey, babe, you know I like big chicks. Literally.
Oh my god.
Wow, that is fucking cheesy, dude. Jesus.
Second that I met her.
Oh god.
And now
what a
you're getting
fucking
married.
intro, dude.
That is inspiring.
Dude, that was a fucking crapshoot. That was a 90-10 fail rate. You fucking got that 10%.
If I was playing XCOM, I would not have taken those chances.
Jesus.
My parents know, like my fucking grandma knows. My cousin who works at DC Comics fucking knows. He's
Your
like,
cousin, okay.
The CleverFoxMan lore deepens.
You can't drop that shit.
Like everybody fucking like, but the thing is, it's like they're just like, yeah, fuck it, who gives a shit? If you like, honestly, it's like you're making money doing this and it's not illegal. Fuck it, do it. Who gives a shit?
I want people to understand that, okay? That fucking attitude. Nobody cares so long as you're not causing harm. So long as you're not taking an air tank and stabbing people to explode them in real life. Like, so long as you're not being a fucking serial killer, no one gives a shit what you fap to. The people that do probably have worse shit in their closets.
Don't give anybody any ideas.
Yeah, oh man, you know, you're not gonna go out there and buy a $700 fucking wasp injector knife and like explode people on the street. That's not gonna happen.
No, because fucking it's stupid. Like, oh my god, like, no, like, and I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that. I wish I could tell everyone that I knew, no one gives a shit about your kink. You're fine.
There's a fucking Frank Zappa song called the Jazz Discharge Party Hat, and then that is like, man, I mean, what the fuck, whatever. You can like whatever you want as long as it doesn't cause a murder.
It's completely true, because, like, I'll give an example of how fucking casual this shit is now. There's a beer can within 2 feet, like, of me called Blueberry Boyfriend. It was made by a fucking, like, beer. It's a craft beer. It's a great beer. I don't like beer. It's tasty, and I drank all of it. But on the fucking can is just this giant blue mass, and it's a person.
Well, then.
It's literally just inflation shit, okay?
I mean, you know,
no one gives a fuck.
Who's the guy who made Guardians of the Galaxy? That's
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn made Slither, and you know, like, you know, he and his buddy were thinking about like the scene in Slither where like the lady gets really big, you know, like,
oh, I know that.
Oh yeah, the like the documentary where they're like, yeah, we drew her like this big, and then she got a little bit bigger, and then we made her a little bit bigger, and we're laughing, we're like, ha, it's fucking funny, and then eventually like we drew her like really fucking massive, like in the movie, and then like a PA walks over and is like, you know that's a fetish, right? Like that's an actual. And then James Gunn, without fucking hesitate, because he worked at fucking Trauma He doesn't give a shit. He
What
went
the fuck?
yeah, he was like, okay, that means we're gonna get everyone who's into that to watch the movie. Who gives a
Oh
fuck?
my god, it was intentional! It was intentional!
Oh my god! That's why the trailer was like that. Holy shit!
You know what's even better too is like the actress was like she didn't read the whole script. She went on to do like Walking Dead and stuff. She saw the script and she was like, there was a scene where she was in a car and it's claustrophobic and like the car gets like the worms start going over the car and she freaks out. She's like, oh man, I don't want to do this scene. Like I'm claustrophobic. I don't want this. Like, and they're like, oh my god, she hasn't read the full script. Oh my god.
Oh no.
And then
oh no.
He and the other guy were like, okay, listen, we completely understand. You are allowed to make one change to this movie. And if you want to remove that scene, perfectly fine. But everything else, you have to be bingo, 100%. She's like, yes, I want that removed. And then she reads later on the script and she's like, fuck! And she did it.
What a fucking shitty turn of events. What a fucking unfortunate turn of events. I see, and also I want people to understand a good 90% of that scene is practical.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, the only CG part was when she exploded.
Yeah, no, 100%. Even then, there's still the face fit. Fuck.
What's interesting is
so good.
Because it's a film and you only need to build what the camera sees. They only have half of the body actually.
Yeah, no, it's what I remember from what that thing was talking about is it's a bunch of it's not a bunch of it was a bunch of rigging draped over with the false skin, and there were people behind it whenever she started pulsing and stuff that would push it, which is just insane to think. We have all this CGI. We are fucking spoiled with this computer CGI bullshit because it completely destroys the necessity for that kind of practical effects creativity, but it also looks better with the practical effects.
You say that, think about this. It probably took about 6 people to actually make it, and then probably 4 to 5 people to actually puppet it. It takes fucking 30 to 60 people to fucking render Superman's ass.
Render Superman's ass.
That's true. That's true. First of all, a lot of the time they fuck up. They didn't use a green screen, so now they have to hire 60 people, 10-second clips to actually rotoscope it, which means they cut the guy out Photoshop style, frame for frame.
Practical effects studios are unionized. VFX studios are not. This is why that they are doing this.
That is the only reason why they're more expensive.
You think that they're not expensive, but the amount of budget that's put into visual effects is actually a lot.
I want more of these practical effects things because in mixed with CGI, because it's fun to look at how they blend. I don't think I can't convey enough as a person who likes film, who likes giant monster movies, whose almost entire film favorite catalog is just a bunch of practical effects and weird bullshit movies. 2005 Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, almost all of that film was practical effects mixed with computer graphics. Almost all of it. The chocolate room, real. Inventing room, real. Nut room, real. The squirrels were trained. They trained squirrels.
And it's weird. It's weird because the reason they didn't use squirrels in the original movie was because they didn't have the technology to do it. But they used practical real life squirrels.
I will say my piece on this, right? You saw the original sequence in the 70s film. 2005 film comes around. I'm 10, 11 maybe, because it's 2005.
Yeah.
And it's such an extreme size and shape, and the way that it's done. At the time, I am the exact same age as that actress, by the way.
Jesus.
You want to play that fucking age game. I'm the same age as that actress.
I was 6, I think.
I was 9.
You see that and you're like, holy shit. And then the community goes off of that shit too. You see that and it's you need to understand, the age that a lot of us were at the time was young as shit. I just wanted to throw that out there because there's gonna be at least one person she's 10, fuck yeah.
It's a minefield to talk about stuff like this online because we live in a reactionary media sphere. We don't live in a social media sphere. We live in a media sphere where you're incentivized to like things and keep scrolling and react to things and keep scrolling. And it's not conducive to nuanced discussion. I
It's
was
a lot
6.
easier to take things out of context, too.
Oh, absolutely. I was 6. Sassy was 9. Clever was 11. Like, when this shit came out, we got fixated on it because we were kids, and now we're in this fucking mess. And there's a distinction that needs to be made between we have now since grown out of it and are developing our own shit, and we did not grow out of it because we didn't have to grow out of it. It's a power dynamic thing, which there are people who like that scene and sequence because of a power dynamic, and I was personally affected by those people, like, harmfully.
Not only that, like a lot of the art nowadays, I mean, there are outliers, of course, but like a lot of like, especially the stuff that I draw personally, they're fully grown women. They have tits and shit, like that. They're fully grown women. Like, I'm not gonna go back and draw that specific sequence at that age range,
No, absolutely
It's unfortunate that there are so many people who are like, even if they say like, oh, she's technically aged up, like there are still a lot of art I see that strays way too close to the imagery of that sequence.
And a lot of people will fucking shit on this fucking idea, and I've talked about it with a few people, and they're like, nah, that makes sense. I would rather have somebody age the character up, which is a big taboo apparently, than just have the original sequence.
No, and here's my sort of take on it. There are 2 ways you can take that. There is the actual legitimate aging up, showing maturation and stuff, and then there's the fucking 2,000-year-old lolicon excuse. It is the way that you construct the body, the perspective of the character, how they look, the aesthetic versus, like, more so than the actual pure character, even in that case. Like, which is already taboo in its own right.
Here's a great thought experiment, right? There is a robot that is a fully grown woman, 100%, like, built, hot, you want to fuck her. She's a day old because she came up.
What a fucking fucking sentence. No. I just love that sentence. You want to fuck her?
She's only a day old because she's a factory product built like that. You have a machine that was built back in the 70s as like it was a child robot, but she's still around. She's 100 years.
Yep. Yeah, I get that. I get that thought experiment already.
I think no. I'd prefer human woman.
I am more grossed out by the idea that somebody gets attracted by the shape of a child. That's wrong.
Yeah, because it's very distinct. It's very distinct. There's a difference between liking petite bodies like Allison Ray, like Ziva Faye in the inflation like sphere. People who have smaller petite bodies. There's a difference between that and clearly wanting to go after a child.
Oh yeah, no, fuck, like one of my best pals, fucking like short stacks. There's nothing wrong with liking shorter women, especially if they have
short stacks are inherently also more curvy. Short stack.
Yeah, they are short but stacked like a brick house.
Like a nice stack of pancakes.
So many fucking sound bites that we can get out of this shit.
Oh, we're fucked, dude. Our careers are over. We're fucked.
It's such an interesting nuance that we have to talk about that people will not fucking talk about because it's hard to talk about it. It's very hard to talk about it.
Well, I mean, here's the deal, and a lot of people say, "Oh, well, this movie couldn't be made today." This idea can be talked about. It's just, are people willing to actually listen to the argument?
God no. Like, because I've been groomed. I've been through that, and the thing that would have helped to prevent it 9 times out of 10 would be to be able to discuss and have an open understanding of what consent, boundaries, and that shit is. And we don't have that in this community fully yet. We still have very reactionary, very polarized discussions. And it leads to a very sort of Inquisition-esque cycle where we find somebody, they do something that is sketchy and harmful, and then we react to it instead of talking about why that's not helpful.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Going back to like the beginning of this podcast, we were talking about furries and shit. A great example would be, well, it's not allegedly anymore, actually. Fucking Kiro the Wolf. Do you know that fucking story?
I feel like I heard about this on Twitter.
I've never heard of that.
These are fucking like anthro people that liked fucking like animals and killing them and like fucking their neck stumps and shit.
Oh yeah,
God.
no, I know what you're talking about now. That's why I blocked it out.
Yep. Yep. So like,
I mean,
so people initially came to the fucking like, oh man, you're just making fun of furries. They didn't actually do this, and they're like they're fucking defending these people. It's like, this is the hill you want to die on? Really? Like, how like if like, and especially when more evidence came out, there were still people who were like, it's like demolishing that person and saying no, that's wrong is a lot more powerful and makes your community look stronger than saying no, there's nothing wrong with the furry community, he's fine.
the thing is, when we talk about like, pedophilia within a community like this, like most people think that pedophiles purely target children because they have a sexual attraction to children. There are studies and studies and studies and studies as a sociologist, as a social scientist, that can tell you for a fact it has nothing to do with liking children. It has everything to do with power. I can tell you that from experience. I can tell you that with studies. And it is very evident from the way they talk, from the mannerisms they have. And there are people who can enable that. There are spaces and methods in which you can enable that. As a social scientist, fiction and reality are not very distinct because fiction and reality affect each other in very similar ways. The issue is you're not going to go out and kill somebody because you killed somebody in GTA 5, but you're not going to become as emboldened or as reactionary to death as you would be if you had never done that stuff. Like it's the way that fiction and like reality intersect within these spaces, I don't think people truly understand the magnitude of as a social scientist. If we don't have these discussions of clarity and understanding that we need to have, they will come through later in ways we don't want them to.
Somebody pulls a fucking soundbite from this, like we're gonna have the fan defend site. We fucking hate pedophiles. Fuck those guys.
Instead of having a nuanced discussion where we set the boundaries and understand the boundaries, it is far easier for humans, for social and like, humans with a lot of social capital, with a lot of, praise and a lot of support to look at something that they don't like and say, this is this terrible thing I don't like, than it is for them to have a discussion. Like, it is far easier socially for people to react in an online space where they don't know somebody than it is to have this discussion and
The way
set
that I
these
explain
boundaries.
it, it's the Star Wars mentality where it's like, oh well, there's clearly bad and good, and I am on good side, and everything that bad side says, fuck them. That's that's where we're at. There's like the ability to understand nuance, like the very small things. Like for fuck's sake, I was I started getting into this shit well underage, but I
Same.
had enough adult capability to realize these people could get fucked up if I said that. I should probably just keep on the down low that I am fucking like 14 drawing this.
I should like like to lurk to not engage with these grown people and like
Yeah.
to understand the boundary there, because like the people who don't understand those boundaries, if we don't set those boundaries within the community, as somebody who's been affected by that sort of bullshit, like it is inevitable that that shit will happen in a community, that somebody will take advantage of somebody. And the way that we fucking fight that isn't creating this puritanical harmful environment where people aren't able to express themselves. The way that you fight that is you make it impossible for people to take advantage of each other because you create an environment where boundaries are set clearly and heavily. And the amount of times that people don't seem to understand that, where they think they can just kick out one person and it's done for, the thing is over, is infuriating. To bring it back to sort of inflation, wow, this conversation.
Yeah, fucking yeah. Well, no, let's bring it out of the dark shit. Let's.
I mean, there's no knowing where we're going, guys.
There's no earthly way
guys
of
and gals.
knowing.
Oh, for fuck's sake! And it's
Through
like,
a
to bring it
fucking-
back to inflation. The only way that we can ensure that people that who like shady inflation shit don't have a platform or a position is by creating an environment where it is impossible for them to take advantage of people. That is it. Otherwise, you're fighting an uphill battle from there. I don't know. I think we need to foster a sort of community collaboration towards building that safer, more like boundary understood community, because furries have that, and BDSM has had that for decades. Inflation and other kinks need that, because with the issues of rampant piracy and with the issues of like shit like that, people clearly don't respect boundaries, don't respect certain groups of people more than others, or to the extent that they should. So they just look at them as if they are terrible people, and they don't like the boundaries are not respected in a manner that needs to be respected.
I mean, BDSM was the killer of like the comic industry from like 30s to like the fucking later on, because of the comics.
The Comics
Comics
Code
Code
Authority.
Yeah. Wonder Woman was originally a BDSM comic. Fun fact.
And then she became a housewife.
I made
Oh,
a goof
God.
on the well, somebody sees it, it's weird, but then somebody does a murder and they blame it on that, and then it's like, oh, it's reactionary.
It is. As somebody who has been reactionary and has been, shitty, like, we need to stop, because it's not helping. It made me miserable. It makes anybody miserable. So, like, to bring it back to sort of lighter shit, helium.
Oh, personally, I prefer hydrogen. Let's talk about bursting.
Actually, that's the subject I wanted to ask about. So like the whole tangent about Slither and like that woman exploding into bloodworms reminded me. So you are into popping or bursting or whatever you want to call it. Which
More
is
dark shit, yay!
yeah, more dark shit, which is like it's seen as somewhat of a taboo in the community, but it's still pretty popular. And like if somebody says they like it, it's like whatever. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so for most people who like bursting, it is a analogy to coming.
The climax.
It's the end. The buildup is the inflation, and then when you actually reach the end, that's the pow. But
Absolutely.
there's different levels. It's the same thing with like soft vor, hard vor. Some people want to go further. Some people say, yeah, I don't want to have.
They're like, I'm good today. This is enough.
This is enough. They come out fine. The funniest thing, the fucking comment that I get the most whenever I do a bursting image, which is not a lot. A lot of people know me as the bursting guy. There's not a lot of shit like that. It's just when it is, it's violent. My idea behind it is, well, first of all, the comment is always, is she okay?
I knew it! God damn it, I was waiting for it!
I think we best get you to the hospital right quick.
What the fuck they gonna do with her in the hospital, Bill?
Shut up.
Is she okay? Nah, she's not. And as a younger guy, I showed this to my house. It was really fucking funny, but I made a fucking like image where it's like, no, she's not okay. That's the file name, and the image of a lady putting roses on a fucking grave.
Oh my god, you fucking evil,
Oh.
evil person. You're evil.
A lot of the inflation stuff requires some form of tension, like, oh no, I don't want to get embarrassed, or oh no, I don't want people seeing me like this. Like, there's a part of it where it's like, I don't want to erupt. Like most of the images are people on the cusp of erupting, but it doesn't happen because
some very popular ones are those like really tight red skin sort of stuff.
Really into that, but like the idea of like this could go south really bad. Like like the idea of, oh man, like I'm getting really rotund. I don't know if this size is sustainable. But the fact that I actually drew what happens in that scenario if this were real puts it into the people's minds like, oh my god, like she might actually explode. Foxman's crazy. He'll do it.
Just sort of draw a comparison for a second. When I saw the 2017 It movie, the opening scene where we actually got to see a child get his arm bitten off by a killer clown pretty much set the tone for the rest of the movie, and I think as a result made it scarier because we knew how far the movie was willing to go early on, so that made every scene that came afterwards even more tense.
Oh, absolutely. I think people tend to want inflation to be too vanilla or too gentle, and that's fine. Just make sure you curate and set those boundaries in those spaces for yourself.
Well, here's the thing. You can like what you want, as long as you don't act on it, like I'm not gonna go out and explode a dude.
I still think it's very funny.
No,
Some random fucking person going around and just with a giant, and just carrying around a big air tank and like
yeah,
a poker.
it's a spear with a giant fucking fire extinguisher on it, and I'm like, ha ha, I gotta get you. But
God.
no, like it's fantasy. It's a fantasy. That's the one thing that I love about cartoons. I used to do a whole bunch of like live action inflation stuff, especially on my YouTube. When I really think about it and I think back on it, I'm probably not going to do a lot of that shit, if at all, now. My big deal is that cartoons, the only person that gets hurt from cartoons is my left hand because I drew it.
Oh God. Jesus, I know how that feels. I like, especially now that I've started painting, my entire right arm hurts
Yeah.
like
Oh no,
all the time.
I'm left-handed. I just jerk off.
And like I think like people tend to forget. I think it has to do a large portion with uh how our culture functions, because people tend to forget that sexual and kink based spaces function a little differently than professional or platonic or romantic spaces. Sexual, like socializing sexually, will be very different because sexuality is very weird. Popping is, it's not to everyone's liking. And I think there's this growing divide between people about it, and I want people to realize there doesn't need to be a divide. It's whatever. You either get the climax from the expansion itself, or you get the climax from exploding, right?
Yeah, it's funny. The dichotomy is whenever I draw like regular shit, which is what people like, they're like, "Oh yeah, when she's gonna burst? When she's gonna burst?" I draw a bursting image. Is she okay? I can't believe
It became such a fucking meme too. Like it became such a meme, because I know a lot of artists who've had that sort of comment, oddly enough. It's just, oh God.
Well, once again, then it goes back to the fucking idea of nuance, right? At some point you need to realize, hey, that person exploded, but she's back 3 images later. It's a cartoon. It's the same thing when Mario dies. He's not dead forever. He respawns. You gotta watch out for the guys who kill a fucking character that way and never bring him back. That's the guy you should watch out for.
Like, because Jesus Christ, they're just pulling at your heartstrings at that point. I think the whole sort of general gist of this interview, because I had no like goal other than having this conversation, talking with you as artists, and I think the whole sort of thing boils down to, as sexual beings and people who like weird shit, we need a bit more nuance and a bit more like critical thought when we're digesting sexual shit.
We're creatures. We're animals. At a certain age, we have sexual desires. What those desires are, they're built off of a certain age, or what we consumed at a certain age, or like what brought us fears or comfort. But at a certain point, you got to realize, like, we're all just on this fucking rock. We have the ability to think. We have the ability to like praise or demolish, but we should all fucking be on this fucker and actually talk to each other. And I think the ability of conversation has died a little bit.
Well, yeah, and I think that does go back to the sort of social versus reactionary media. A lot like DeviantArt originally was a very social platform. You had notes, and notes were a lot more intimate messaging. They're like writing instant letters, and you had forums that were much more active and comments that were much larger. And as DeviantArt has evolved through the ages, you've had less and less and less and less incentive to have more intimate interaction. Like we used to have groups, and we still have groups, but they're not as but much of a pivotal part. Like it's all sort of it's just a Facebook replica.
Pretty
and
much.
and
Collaboration, yeah, of ideas.
and I, God, fucking love how capitalism has bred that innovation. How every fucking social media is identical. It is the exact same, and it leads to the same insular shitty behavior. Hell, Discord's probably going to go that direction in about 6 years. it already has the groupings, it already has the less forum style, the more notification style. All it needs is a timeline and status updates, and it's another Facebook.
And it's
Because Twitter
gone.
has it in order to get this nuance, in order to get these sort of discussions to play out, in order to get people to talk and actually set up these boundaries and be people and to be social, we have to stop purely reacting. We have to stop reading into things so viscerally. Like I've done that, Sassy, I'm sure you've done it at something. Like Fox, everyone was a teenager, everyone got mad about something, but you have to look at things with nuance. The issue to me is when we have these reactionary discussions, whenever we have these reactionary interims and sessions, it leads to more fallout than we want, and it comes back to bite a lot of people in the ass. It just sucks. But I think it can be improved if we start really engaging and thinking critically and thinking more, sensibly.
Definitely. I mean, Sassy, I feel like you fucking Agrol and I have been fucking bullshitting for quite a while. You got a question for me, fucker?
I kind of already asked the question about the expansion thing. I think that was the last thing we had before we went on this whole tangent.
I'm gonna fucking sit on you if you don't give me a fucking question.
Oh my god.
No. I guess we should sort of round this out then.
Round. Lol.
Lol. I mean, we have been going for over an hour. I feel like this is gonna be this is the second interview in a row we've gone over an hour, so it's like I've got a lot of work to do.
Oh,
I will say this. As a because you're a little squeezing room, I got a question.
Yeah.
When it comes to blueberries, actually blue or purple?
I mean, blue is just kind of what I'm most accustomed to, because that's just sort of how it's always been.
I think he's asking about the actual fruit. Are they blue or are they purple?
Oh, well, okay, from what I've heard, apparently they're actually purple, but I don't know. They look blue.
Talking about the expansion, do you actually like Violet because she's turning violet, or do you like blue because it's more unnatural, you don't really see it that much?
I'm a both kind of person. With me, it's I like the blue because the blue is very vibrant and eye-catching, and blue more preferential. But if you pull off the purple in a very nice way, I like it too.
I agree.
Have you ever noticed that the people who do dark purple really add a whole bunch of heft and liquid?
Well, I mean, that's because, okay, so for me, it's I like, if it's a lighter expansion, if it's just a little bit of of juice weight or something, I'll usually prefer a lighter shade of blue. But if it's a bigger expansion, if they're really starting to get full of juice and their skin is getting really saturated, I like a darker shade. I like a more saturated shade, and that could sometimes lead into purple.
Especially if one method of shading something, especially with cell shading, is that you use purple instead of black.
That does help. I've done it at painting. Yeah. This helped a lot.
Yeah, so instead of using black, which would muddy the colors, you use purple, which would change certain color variants. Or
use their complement.
Exactly. Oh yeah, complements. It's a goofy thing. We started with furries. We talk about furries. The character Maid Marian?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
You know the structure of her face and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
90% of that is actually just color play, because if you just boil it down to line art, there's nothing there.
Really? Huh. That's interesting.
Around her, the lighter color around her eyes, the white on the snout, all of that stuff, that's all just color play. None of it is line art.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, I noticed that now. That's...
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's color play. That's complementing or contrasting colors.
Wow, that's insane.
I'm looking at a picture of her now, and yeah, I can definitely see that.
Here's another one.
It's a mouth. It's she has a mouth, 2 eyes, and then a dot for her nose, and then everything else is just color.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another thing that's gonna fuck you up. look up a profile image of a human's head and realize how far back the ear actually is.
It's very far back.
Oh, it's halfway across the fucking circumference.
It's right there. I've tried drawing my face, and it's not easy. Drawing any person's face and head is not easy. Just drawing the form is hard. And I think people tend to just sort of half-ass it most of the time. Like, as somebody who's had to go through figure drawing, having the thing there to look at and like get the different angles of it, how lighting functions with it, is very helpful.
I just want to say that I do have a thing I have to go to at 6, and I still need to like shower and prepare for that.
Yeah.
So we should probably like wrap this up.
Okay. Yeah, no, yeah.
You have anything to promote, Clever?
I'm a chatty individual. I apologize. I hope you smell good afterwards.
Thank you.
I have a PayHip where all my comics are. I'm pretty sure there's a few Reddit fucking groups that are pirating my shit, but if you want to support me, it's on PayHip. I have the Twitter. I have DeviantArt for Affinity, and I just recently opened YouTube. If you guys can help out with the YouTube, I used to have 20,000 subscribers. Now I have 300 because they fucked me. Go on there, help me out, and also thank you guys for having this deep conversation. I'm hoping that a lot of it's not cut out.
We'll trim out the weirder stuff.
I'll have to trim out some stuff, but I expect to keep the important stuff in here.
One of the things that drew me to this podcast is like you guys edit really good, and like
Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, fuck yeah! Like the numbers do not equal the amount of effort you guys put in, and I hope that this one like really fucking helps you guys out a bit.
Alrighty. I do hope there's a lot more engagement and stuff, and I hope that the depth of the conversation, no matter how we sort of, work with it, got through to a lot of people. But thank you for coming.
Well, I'm either coming or going.
And welcome back from our interview.
Yes, that was a fun and long one.
That was a good one. That was very fun to go back and edit through.
Well, I'm sure there was a lot we had to work through with that one. It was very, very interesting to record. All right, so shall we start with the news?
Blue skidoo to the news.
Oh God. I would love to get just a bland, boring guy to read all of the stuff that we have news for. Just like read ad copy and then just put it up with like a scroller on the bottom. I'd love that. So one of our friends, Asa Fisher, otherwise known as, I think, I gotta find their channel name.
Ashley Fisher?
Yeah.
I may have kind of cracked their egg a little bit.
That's fair. It happens. We all crack somebody's egg. They have a YouTube channel. They do a bunch of audios. I will link them down below, as well as their DeviantArt page and all that stuff. But generally speaking, they are doing a giant collaborative writing effort. They or something. They want to get some writers together to write some anthology. And I found that interesting. So if you would like to talk to them, see how you'd fare, because I'm sure they'll welcome you so long as they, so long as you ask and stuff. You could join in.
So long as you're not a jerk.
Yeah. I would like to participate in it as well. So I may be throwing one of my short stories in it. But yeah, if you're interested in getting your work done in an anthology, that might, I guess probably would most likely be put on like, Amazon writing, publishing, whatever. Because it's hard to publish erotica.
I mean, it's easier than it used to be.
It is, now that you have the self-publishing stuff. But if you want to join in, hit them up. I will link their Discord tag or their Discord server and their DeviantArt page. You can just hit them up, I'm sure, and they will hopefully be able to respond in a timely manner. If not, be patient. Humans are people, and people take time sometimes. I know I do. So yeah, there's that. And then you had more information on our next subject of news than I did, apparently. So
yes. So Juliet Michelle, aka by Shoujo Mom, aka MILF cosplayer extraordinaire, has flirted with the idea of doing expansion content. Anybody in the community who's heard of her knows that she did that Blueberry set about a year ago, and she hasn't really done too much of that kind of stuff since, or even before, even. Like, that was just sort of her first foray.
Yeah, it was a commission, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a commission. But she isn't really known for her expansion content, even though she is very, gifted, shall we say.
Gifted and talented.
Gifted and talented. Lovely personality. She is probably a very cool person. But she made a tweet at one point saying that she would be interested in getting into expansion content, that she then promptly deleted roughly a day later, and has since started hanging out with Mads on Twitter.
Or
Mads
just interacting, passively and stuff.
Not collaborating, just sort of like passively commenting on her stuff and complimenting her and everything. Like, I don't know if there's anything really to glean from this.
I know for a fact the tweet itself mentioned that it was her best-selling set, I think, of the year, if not all time, which is insane because she has a huge following.
She does have a huge following, and it didn't start within our community. Like, she's sort of an outsider.
And her, like, it was actually very well done. I like how she did it. She, for dipping the toes in and doing a commission, it was very well done as opposed to half-assed, which she could have done. I know there's some people who didn't like the result. I'd like to point out that the suit's kind of unwieldy. It's a rollable suit, but it's unwieldy, and you can get hurt easily in it if you're not careful. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I think she's kind of dipping her toes in. She might be interested in it. I know I retweeted it. I think the account, our Twitter retweeted it. Whoever runs that, I can't remember. It's the intern.
It's Dave. Fucking Dave.
That would be so funny. But yeah, I think it'd be awesome if she got into it a little more. I know she already plays around with the giantess kind of stuff with her perspective, so it's not too far off from what she does normally. But yeah, that's the news.
It's really more of a gossip segment than a news segment.
Yeah, but there's always new clips from Taylormadeclips. I know there's some cool stuff coming up. I've seen some behind the scenes stuff, specifically of her painting sets, and there might be a bit of a delay though, due to stuff that I don't know if I can freely say. And other stuff, I'm trying to think of anything else. I don't think there's anything else. Bees.
The bees, they sting, Justin.
All right, now that news is over, we have to talk about consent again.
Because you didn't listen to us the first time, so now we have to talk about it again. Dave, if you don't listen to us again this time, we're going to fire you, okay?
Okay, so consent has to do with a lot of things. Consent at a baseline level is a yes, as opposed to a no. But the more layers you add to a situation, the more complicated, an affirmative yes versus a passive no can become. And the more harder it is to discern. And it should be clarified that you should be able to set up settings to where the clarified yes is very clear and the passive no is impossible. And I have personally, in my personal life, fucked that up before. When you want to get art made of somebody, you need to be sure you are explaining to them what kind of art you're getting and how much of it you're getting. And I fucked that up before. I fucked it up with my ex. We still talk. She let me know that I think about a couple months ago, and I felt awful because I didn't realize that I had fucked that up. And yeah. Basically, whenever you want to get art done of somebody, get their express permission, make sure you're telling them exactly what you're wanting. And if you can, if they aren't somebody that is your significant other, just solicit a model who's willing to do it, really, if you want to get art made of somebody, because otherwise you're just kind of doing a lot of risk factors, especially when it comes to photo manipulations, which I didn't get, thank God.
Exactly. I mean, again, that's sort of a thing I have to, as a morph artist, that I have
to
absolutely sort of deal with all the time. What would be the consequences of morphing this subject? Would they raise a fuss about it, or is this such a high profile figure that it's their images are out for the world to see, and they wouldn't really care?
Oh, 100%. Because I know you've told me that you've started using Face App to sort of make fake people.
Basically, yeah.
to counterfeit people.
It's it's kind of a useful tool for what I do.
Yeah, and there are a lot of different tools you can use for it. There's a lot of ways you can use it for evil, but you don't use it for evil.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not an evil person.
I'm frightened by like the precedent that the technology sets, but
Oh, absolutely.
For my personal application, it's great. I love it. You should check out my my page and follow me, my DeviantArt page, and follow me on Twitter. I just posted a very saucy piece recently.
Oh, it's amazing.
Using
it's
that.
Awesome.
It's really good.
Oh yeah, like the way that you do get those fake faces. They're not like plastic to where they don't look like people, but they're just enough editing to where there's no recognizable person there. It's a constructed person. It's very cool.
It's the concept of a person, not an actual person.
Oh yeah, and which allows a lot more usage, I'm sure. But yeah, you just got to be careful with that kind of stuff because like I, a person, being as honest as I can be, I fucked up with my ex. And when she let me know, I felt like shit because I'm like, oh well, on top of the shit that we've been going through, I had done that stupid stuff. So you want to make sure you explain what you're doing. Now, let me be clear. You don't have to write a fucking contract unless you plan on using the image for financial stuff and you need to come to some sort of an agreement. But you should make sure they understand what you're doing with it. It's not the worst thing to get assurance, but that is the redux.
Let people know what you're doing with their pictures.
Be clear is the thing. Transparency is key. And we're starting to see a lot of that. We're starting to see a lot of people take more pride in their work and take more substance. So they're starting to be a lot more transparent with how they use images and stuff, which is great. I just, I want to reinforce that because I'm seeing people now stop using the original films as a basis for morphs and head swaps, which is fucking phenomenal. Thank you.
It really shouldn't have been a thing to begin with.
No, and with there's the line where with sufficient editing it no longer looks like it in context, but even then, there's a risk there. And if you're gonna make photo manipulations, for example, you got to be careful with the subject matter you use. Every morph artist has, but every person who does photo manipulations or who has the ability to do them has gotten solicited by some person who has taken a screenshot of their fucking middle school crush and said, I want you to morph this person. And A, no, that's a child. B, even if I could, legally speaking, that is a terrible photo. And C, no, it's a child.
And even if they weren't a child, it's you need to ask permission.
Yeah, I know you have a specific way you make sure people get permission, which is fucking dope as hell. I can't remember how it is, but
basically I ask for them to send me a picture of themselves holding up a written piece of paper with some random message and then have them do a random pose.
Yeah, or the subject matter doing the same thing, because you can that is pretty solid. It's hard to fake. You'd have to go out of your way to fucking fake it.
Yeah, and as good as I am, I don't think anybody's willing to go that far.
No, if they could go that far, then they might as well just do it themselves. If you can fake a drawing on a paper, you can fake a fruit. Consent, it gets complicated, and you gotta figure out ways to make sure you get an affirmative as opposed to an unclear or passive no. If you fuck that up, sometimes it's not a legal issue, it's just more of an ethical and sort of boundary issue, but sometimes it is. Sometimes people will be offended and they will, feel hurt. I know there was a creator who is now infamous who wasn't clear about what he did with the images of the subject matter and what he was doing, what he was using it for. And I've talked to him recently. He regrets that, but I have seen the fallout of that. And we'll talk about this. I'll use this as sort of a bridge to get into our next section. But I was just scrolling through TikTok, and I typed in on a whim blueberry inflation because I check whatever community on every social media sphere that there is that I possibly can. And there was, a person on there who had interacted with him, who had been affected by it and talked about it. And it just sort of made my heart sink because that was somebody's first experience with this group. And that was their only experience. And it was just an awful experience. It was just a rough, impersonal experience. And it makes you cringe. It makes you, recoil. It makes you feel like, oh, well, he's not representative, but I couldn't, get them to believe me because they'll just think I'm trying to make excuses. And, that sucks, doesn't it?
Speaking of cringe,
that was kind of what I was doing. Thank you.
like the minute you said that, I was just like, "Oh, okay, this is the segue we're going with."
I mean, I tried so hard and got so far, and in the end, she just popped.
So yeah, I'm sure we're all familiar with the subject of cringe culture and how the inflation community and the furry community and other sort of similar kink communities like it have sort of, they seem to be a regular target of, again, sort of this cringe culture on the internet. I was actually kind of a victim of it recently. I don't want to say victim because like I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. It's like whatever. I'm like, oh well, shoot, okay, cool. I had a piece of mine, an art piece of mine recently featured in a Twitter page, a Twitter account for cringe deviant art posts. I don't want to name exactly what this page was called. I don't want to even say what piece was featured. Though if anybody saw me on Twitter during that time, they probably could figure it out. And the experience just kind of got me thinking, like, what's constructive about this? Why do people who hate this kind of content have such a weird fixation on it?
Oh yeah, it's a weird thing. I had an account that was affected by it too. I won't detail it because it's sort of a weird phase of my life I don't want to talk about. But cringe culture sort of came about, I think, at a time period in which there were a lot of people renouncing their old stuff, and like you do wonder, where does it come from? Where does this kind of vitriol come from? You know, and it's stupid. It's a cringe culture is the single stupidest thing ever, and I will fully admit that because I used to deliberately look up cringe compilations, and I don't think it was a form of self-harm. I think it was a form of trying to laugh at people I thought were crazier than I was, because I didn't want to feel crazy, you know.
Like you feel self-conscious about yourself, and you want to seek out, you know, people who are weirder or people who have some
and more confident in their weirdness. I would do that. There's a video of like a character from Star Fox voring a guy that's publicly available on YouTube, and I thought that's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And looking back on it, I'm like, that person is so much more comfortable as themselves than I was in later high school and college, and that just baffles me. And there's just this time period where we were just, bullying was okay, and like making fun of people was okay, because they liked this specific thing. I mean, that's how you got people like Solar Sands, you know, just to sort of think of somebody in specific, because he's a popular YouTuber. I can fully, you know, I can fully fucking quote him on saying that. And, you know, as much as I get, like, some of his critique is fine. He's, you know, he comes at it from an artistic perspective. Sometimes he uses his platform to just bully people who have specific interests and, you know, are exploring that interests online. They might be kids, they might be teens, they might be adults, you know, troubled or not. Who cares? Cringe culture just fucking baffles me. It fucking baffles me because you sit there and you're looking for somebody who is weirder than you. And 80% of the time, I think it's because you're just looking for somebody who is crazier than you so you don't feel crazy. When in reality, you're crazier than them for seeking it out.
Or maybe you have a secret interest in it and you don't want to admit, and you just don't want to admit to yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, isn't that like there's a couple of people, like there's a couple parts of the, you know, trans experience. It's been like people will seek out stuff they think is weird in order to find an excuse to do it.
I mean, speaking from experience, like there were several times in which I considered the idea of asking my parents, "Hey, can I dress up as a girl for Halloween?" just because it would be a funny joke.
Oh yeah, it was a Halloween thing, and then, you know, next thing you know, oh look, there's a needle in my arm. There's a needle in my arm, and I have tits now.
Hopefully, I'll get there.
Oh, you will. One way or another, you will. You'll either get an air hose or you'll get the actual thing. I mean, where's the lie though? Where's the lie, Sassy? and I'm not saying this like to be on a high horse. I was the cringe culture guy. I perused that part of the internet. I deliberately did so. I deliberately was a closeted edgelord, which is, you know, so fucking stupid to look back on, because I was just like, Aggro, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like I would even see stuff that would make fun of people that I knew were artists and that I liked, and I'd be like, well, I guess it's not that cringy, or I guess it is kind of cringy, but, you know, like I've seen Axl Roseret, you know, in cringe compilations because, you know, he likes diaper stuff, and I don't give a shit. You know, it's It's diaper stuff. Fucking who cares?
It's like, yeah, that's weird. I find it to be weird personally, but it's like, whatever. I'm not gonna seek it out.
You do you, motherfucker. Like
you, if you're not hurting anybody, that's your thing.
Like, you know, it'd be different if it was a grown man forcibly putting diapers on adults in coffee shops, but you know, like, you know, that doesn't happen.
The mad diaper bandit strikes again.
Like you get people who would deliberately seek out like goth people and make fun of them. And, you know, like, you know, goth people can be funky, they can be weird, but sometimes they just have an aesthetic choice. And now I follow like 9,000 different people who have emo goth scene aesthetics.
I feel like a lot of the people who make fun of goths just really, really, really want to be stepped on and don't
100%.
know how to articulate that.
The reason why I follow one cosplayer in particular is because she is 6 feet tall and just wears platform boots a lot.
Ooh.
Like, and she wants to she's becoming like a law professional and stuff. It's really cool. She's like one of the best She-Hulk cosplayers on the planet.
Big,
like,
tall, steppy lawyer.
Like, I mean, she's living the life of fucking She-Hulk. No joke. Like, you know, and she's one of the best in the world. So like, you know, there's substance there, but like, and then like you get on TikTok and like, I see the exact same stuff, and there's going to be, I could guarantee you, there's going to be like a phase where, you know, people on TikTok and, you know, who are still on Tumblr or on Instagram will have all these different, you know, oh, it was cringe to be into these things. And I'm just like, you kind of see the beginning, you know, stuff of it now. And I fucking hate that because, you know, we were all kids at one point in time. We all were weird. When I was younger, I had an obsession with dinosaurs to such an extent that my teacher had to ask me to stop writing stories about dinosaurs.
Oh, same. What was your favorite? What was your favorite?
I liked all dinosaurs because I made up a superhero team called the Masked Dinosaurs, which were just a knockoff of the Ninja Turtles.
Okay, but if you're like narrow it down, what would be your favorite?
I like theropods. You know, two-legged, you know, meat eater motherfuckers just going nom meeting you.
Same. I Carnotaurus forever.
But like I've grown to enjoy a lot of, you know, dinosaurs and stuff. But that's not the point. The point is cringe culture. You know, and it sucks because, you know, you were affected by it. I've been affected by it, but you've been affected by it more publicly because, you know, your account's more tied to you.
I mean, they didn't link back to my account. Like, thankfully, it was just the post and nothing about me specifically. It was just like if that had happened, like that would be one thing. But you know,
I think they were knowledgeable enough to not dogpile you. They're just like, hey, look at this weird thing. Cringe at it for me, will you?
Yeah, I'm not happy that happened, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Like, at least they didn't go through the trouble of linking to my account and having everybody dogpile on me. I feel like I come to this from a unique perspective in that I never actually really had that edgelord phase that I went through. I remember like I kind of got into a lot of this stuff before I had the chance to become an edgelord.
Oh yeah, I fully believe
I was edgy in like some ways, but like not in a lot of the ways.
It was impossible not to have, you know, to be adjacent to edgelordness, but like, you know, I was close friends with a guy who self-identified as a nationalist, and I don't know why I was.
Oof, that's pretty cringe.
To this day, I remember that exchange at lunch, and I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, oh my god, I was sitting next to a guy who would self-identify as a Nazi if he had the chance. You know, it's not fun. Like, the way that I was affected by it was on an alternate account that's not really tied to me, but it was sort of a personal account during a point of transition and kind of mental breakdown. Every time I've entered a new phase of my life, I have sort of like an overwhelming phase where I have to adapt really quickly, and it fucks over my ability to think coherently for a while. It happened in college. I had a breakdown, and that's why there's a bunch of weird morphs on my page.
Lest we forget, Godzilla Berry.
So, and you know, I had a similar time period, first year of high school, where I was still trying to figure out my sexuality, you know, my position as a person, and my convictions. Everyone does, but you know, whenever I did, I had a breakdown, and or like some sort of, you know, mental issue, and you know, I was weird for a while. I mean, you could ask my ex, and she'll tell you, I was a weird guy. But I settled down around sophomore, junior year of high school, and then, you know, transitioned into college, and then had it all over again. So
yeah,
I think it partially has to do with coping mechanisms. But cringe culture is just a bastard because, like, you get people bullying people for making, you know, shit that made them happy, shit that gave them, you know, joy.
Like, why spread such negativity?
Like,
literally one of the comments I saw on the original post was something along the lines of, like, what does this contribute? What was the point of making this? And, like, I kind of have to point those people to the mirror and say, what's your point?
like what's the, like, whoa.
No, you.
Whoa. What do you contribute?
Yeah, what are you contributing by shitting on what I do?
Because, like, you know, it's expression. Like, art is a complex subject matter. You know, not everyone likes Botero. Botero makes giant rounded portraits of people that look like, you know, babies. Like he takes old Renaissance paintings and does them as these rounded figures. Botero's a great artist. I love him, but not everyone's going to like him. I just went to the Blanton Art Museum in Austin. There's tons of art there that's amazing. And there's tons of art there that some people just look at and be like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. And, you know, you just got to deal with that because, like, you know, some people make art that's not for you.
Some people make art for money laundering.
I mean, if money laundering can exist, then I think people can make art of balloon influencers and, you know, not be an issue. You know,
some people make art just because they want to watch the planet burn.
Literally, some people want to watch the planet burn. we should hire Michael Caine just to do that. We should get a cameo from Michael Caine. Oh, that'd be funny.
Violet, you're telling Violet.
Oh God.
I'm Michael Caine. Oh, my daughter's turned into a blueberry now.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That's quite a pickle, isn't it?
I was just supposed to. Oh God. I think the funny thing about cringe culture is it kind of evolved into a reclamation of being cringe. There's no such thing as cringe or, you know, it's all cope now. Just cope with the fact.
It's all just cope.
Exists. Which, you know, take your copium, you motherfuckers.
Take your fucking copium.
And, you know, like, it's not the worst thing. You know, shit exists. So cringe culture is dead. Kill it if you have to.
Let the past die. Kill it if you have
Oh
to.
God.
Don't do this, Ben. Please don't go this way. No. You're still holding on! Let go! Do you want to know why you enjoy all those cringe compilations? Or have you always known? You've just hidden it away. You know the truth. Say it. Say it. Because I am cringe.
All right. Well, that was a fun segment. And, you know, it's very good to get, you know, that kind of personal experience talking about cringe and shit. But yeah, were you an edgelord? I don't want to know because I can tell. And I'm ashamed of you. Dirty.
I was never really an edgelord. I mean, I was edgy at certain points in my life, as everybody is in their teenage years, but I don't think I was ever really, like, aggressively edgy about other people. I don't know.
Well, like, I was a conspiracy theorist, so it kind of came with the territory. I legitimately believed that the Queen was a reptilian.
You think there's a queen?
I thought that the Queen of England was a reptilian.
You think England exists?
Oh.
Bro, we need to get you red-pilled.
I have one of my greatest pieces of art I've ever made is a drawing of a reptilian. And I hate the fact that it came from that period of time. Because it's like, this is the most objectively beautiful thing I've ever drawn. I was a when I was...
If our elected officials were actually reptilians, at least they would be hotter.
That'd be a better excuse, too. Because then it would just be space racism instead of just actual racism.
Spacism.
And the reason why, you know, I got into reptilians is because I was fascinated with aliens being real, and I watched Ancient Aliens all the time. And eventually, I set the DVR to record full episodes. I am not fucking with you. Like, I would watch it I would binge watch it. I was a fan of Giorgio Tsoukalos. I almost bought merch. Like, we're talking.
Oh my god.
We're talking. I almost had the phase. But, you know, aliens. There's some evidence from, like, you know, real people who are ufologists and who have legitimate shit. Like the Russian alien book is a fascinating, you know, text that, you know, may or may not be real. Then there's the stuff by David Icke or David Icke, whatever his fucking name is.
I was about to say, I think it's David Icke.
Because you just get I'm about to say a sentence that may get us demonetized permanently. So
I'm probably not going to leave all of this in.
No, I'd leave some of it in. I'm going to bleep. I want to bleep it, and then put the text on the screen in sort of pixelated amounts so it can't be picked up. But there's like aliens exist. They are these kinds of things. There's possible evidence for these things, and then there's David Icke going, "Well, the aliens are actually secretly possessed by fucking alien demons from Mars that are from the future, also controlling your sacral and solar plexus chakra." Like, I could find the book and point to the page where he says that, and it just baffles me because there's a diagram and everything, and it's twice as thick as the Bible. It's denser than the Bible.
God.
Oh my god, it is
it's like the Bible but anti-Semitic.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Like, looking back at that phase of my life, I'm like, how the fuck did I not get bullied? How the fuck did I make it through high school? And then I realized, oh, I went to a fucking county. That's why. People just assumed I was and they were like, yep, that checks out.
Yeah.
It was such a weird... Cringe is such a weird thing because everyone has that point in their life where they're cringy. And, you know, sometimes I think they're poking fun at themselves, but a lot of the times they're just bullying people. So don't bully people. In the comments below, tell us if you were a cringe or a Chad.
Tell us if you were cringe or based.
Did you also accidentally do Would you fly in space if you had the ability?
Wait a minute. You guys are Nazis.
Did you ever have a dream that you would like with, you know, wing what you wait what wings and what, you know, with you ever you like with, you know, wing what you wait what wings and what, you know, with you ever you what wings and what.
There was this one clip I saw on Twitter at one point. I don't know what cartoon it was. I don't know what I'm sorry, my...
No, fine. Just describe the clip. All right, for all you burping kinksters.
Yeah, subscribe to my OnlyFans. I'll burp for you. There's more where that came from.
Better out than in.
Better out than in, I always say. I wonder how many people got turned on by Shrek as a kid.
No comment.